Sadly, this is a forsaken generation. Hear this well, we're not going away. Eyes are opening to the truth. We grow stronger in number as a united force every day. Babies are dying, parents left crying, told that SIDS or coincidence disorder are to blame, parents forced to live with the pain and shame. The once bright smiling faces full of wonder turned vacant stares, families shattered while they also endured the public glares. You're wiping out future generations for your own selfish gain as we form this revolution for liberation and change. We will keep speaking louder and louder. We will not be silenced until there is a shift in power. So stand up, speak out, be brave, be the voice of the voiceless. Too many forsaken lay in their graves. Welcome to Forsaken Generation.
All right, everybody. Welcome to Forsaken Generation Radio Show. I am your host, Lynette Marie RN. And if you heard the beginning of the show where there was something crazy going on in the background, that is my bad. That was James Corden's carpool karaoke me and Lala were watching. Before the show started, it wouldn't turn off in the background. It kept coming back on. Oh, goodness. I want to welcome my buddy Anu Vaidya to the show. Good morning, my friend.
Good morning, Lynette. Good morning, Lynette. And let me just say, it's been, you and I have had a lot of things going on, so we haven't had much chance to talk in the past couple of weeks. So I just want to say I love you and I miss you, and I feel bad that I haven't been able to connect with you very much. So I just want to be right up front with that. So I just want to say I love you and I miss
buddy.
you, and I want to say that to everybody that I haven't been able to reach out to in the past few weeks. You know, I have a lot of friends that, you know, reach out and want to talk and stuff like that, but I'm trying to get something off the ground here, and I'm not very good at, like, reaching out to different people and getting to know them. It's something that I'm trying to change about myself, but it's like when I go into work mode, those that know me well, when I go into work mode, I go into, like, this kind of cave mode of just getting work done. My
hermit mode.
Over the years, hermit mode, exactly. My parents over the years have gotten used to the fact that sometimes they just don't hear from me for like 2 months, which is, I know it's horrible, but like I get super.
Well, now I know, so at least I feel better. I worry about you, and I mean, you know, I know your life is crazy, and you know my life has been insane right now. So it's been rough. I definitely miss you. You're one of my people that helps me definitely get through a lot of the hard times. For me, y'all, I know everybody out there listening, I love Anu so much because I have never had a friend that no matter what, when you talk to them, they don't think about anything other than really and truly what's best for you and your situation. And, like, it doesn't matter what they think you want or any of that. Like, you get the best advice. And I don't know, it's just something that I've always appreciated because there's a lot of people out there will tailor what they say to you based on what they think you want to hear. And I've never heard you do that before. So I love that about you. That's just something I've always appreciated. You keep me going on the straight and narrow. It's good to have friends like that.
Well, thank you, Lynette. And you know what? I'm gonna pledge this to you. I'm gonna try a lot harder to be there and try to actually be there for you more and call you and text you and stuff like that. I'm so overwhelmed right now with everything that I'm doing. I mean, there's things that I'm doing, guys, there's things that I'm doing in the background right now to keep moving forward and keep helping people in this community that like I don't talk about a lot of stuff that I'm doing in the background. But there's so many things that I'm doing. I'm trying to get something new off the ground right now, and I've got a couple people helping me, and I'm trying to put all that stuff together. So if I don't reach out to you and you're reaching out to me, or you know you're just wondering where the heck I am, it's because I'm trying to get something off the ground that's taking up all my free time.
I want to apologize to Billy DeMoss. My bad. I couldn't call you before the show like I was supposed to. Read your Facebook. I sent you a message. My bad. I just want to put that out there if he's listening. I feel bad. I was supposed to call him half an hour ago, but I did not. Everything was so crazy. I had to go to the store for the kids. Like, it was just like, okay, I messaged you, so sorry about that. But anyway, y'all, I want to go to Cal Jam so bad. Dude, okay, off topic, but how in the world is everybody out there in California right now? I saw these, it's always fires going on. And I got to say, when you see all these pictures and videos and stuff, nothing looks like, okay, go back in the day and look at a fire. Look at the videos. Look at the pictures. It doesn't look the same. It looks like the trees are burnt. It's like, what is going on?
California is hurting right now. California is definitely hurting right now. They're saying that some of these these are some of the worst fires they've had in like a long time. A lot of people have lost their homes. It's a really, really sad situation. California has had problems with getting rain and things like that, and so a lot of the areas around here are dry, and people are unfortunately people are getting dumber and dumber and think it's okay to do things like start fires in locations that should just not have fires, and people go out and they're smoking this, that, or the other, and they don't make sure that the fire is out or the cigarette is out or something like that.
Right.
I just keep thinking about the fact that like I grew up, and I'm sure most of the listeners of this show have grown up listening to and watching Smokey the Bear type stuff.
Yep.
And you know what I mean? Like I used to go camping a lot. Like it's funny, but when I moved to America, I started camping less, which makes no sense. But when I lived in Hong Kong, my family, we went camping like a couple times a month. We went camping a lot. And, there was always a level of respect when it came to starting fires and things like that. We always
how you treated it.
Out, and
there was huge campaigns for that with Smokey the Bear and Woodsy the Owl. Woodsy the Owl was all about keeping it clean. It was don't be a dirty bird. And then they had Smokey the Bear. I still have the old bumper stickers. I'm not even kidding. I just always thought it was funny that don't be a dirty bird. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy to see now. Number one, you don't see that stuff really anywhere. It's almost like a joke now. But it's so sad to see. I mean, there's so many people. I saw Del Bigtree lost a home out there. I mean, this stuff is. It's affecting a lot of people, and I don't understand. I guess it's just hard for my head to wrap around it, really. I mean, because I'm seeing people on Facebook Lives driving down the street with fire all around them. I know the quality of air cannot be good when it's brown and you can't see through it. And I'm curious how they're still there. How are they allowed to be there? I mean, when I was in Houston, if the hurricane was coming, we were mandatorily, evacuated. We had to get our butts out of there. So I'm just curious how so many people are still there while flames are literally engulfing them.
Yeah, I mean they've evacuated quite a few people. The problem with places like LA is that, and I think this might go across the board to a lot of places in America where there isn't really a good contingency plan for emergency situations for evacuating people. I mean, we've seen it over and over and over again, right? In recent history. I mean, look at New Orleans. Look at all these places where even though they knew what was coming, like they couldn't get people out quick enough. So many people lose their lives and get hurt and lose all their property and all this stuff. And it just goes to show that people are too comfortable. They think that, oh, well, things are fine. I get up every morning and eat my Cheerios and I go to work, I do this, I do that, and I get my Starbucks coffee, so I'm safe. I'm completely safe all the time. And that's not to say that people should be afraid all the time, but having a...
No, but people do live in their own little bubble.
Yes,
everybody thinks that when it comes to president, when it comes to voting, when it comes to, it's pretty much even the small things all the way up to the most huge things. Something I've always noticed is it's like everybody, if they don't think, this is the crazy part, if they don't think it directly affects them, then they don't give a shit. Excuse my language, but it's really true. But if you really look at a lot of these things, they really do directly affect you. You're just not paying attention. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, it's just sad. My bad.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I mean, it's something that people that really should pay attention to because, having a plan for emergency situations is extremely important. I don't think people pay attention enough, and it's really sad because when really bad things happen, they have no way of getting around it or fixing the situation. You know, and I don't know what it is about the human psyche that thinks when you're safe, there's nothing that could go wrong. I think that might have partly to do with the fact that, you know, there's so much out there, like reinforcing that society is perfectly put together when it actually isn't. That it's kind of what you call it. It's basically like misinforming people, making people think that, you know, they're completely safe. It's a weird thing. The false sense of security is a huge problem.
Well, that's one of the things I brought up to the, I think it's the Department of Defense, I believe. I don't remember. I think that's what they're called. One of the dudes at ACIP. I think it was the second time I went there. I asked him, what are they going to do when it's 1 and 2 with autism, and it's 80% males and our military? What are we going to do? Are you going to bring back the draft and draft a few who are left who are not affected? And then there's just nobody left out over here to work or to do anything that we need to help take care of the rest. Like, what are they going to do?
Yeah,
you know, and I was, I mean, they don't think about those kind of things. Our country is going to be left without a defense pretty soon if they keep on affecting all of our men and women. I mean, straight up, that's just the truth of it. And they don't think about those things. I said that to my chiropractor, and she was like, holy crap, Lynette, I've never thought about that before. It's like, I think about all kinds of crap when I can't sleep at night, you know. But, I mean, it's true, though. I mean, hello, if it's 80% of the males are autistic at that point, they think that, and it's blowing my mind because you hear so many people and you see so many articles saying, like, it's like the super race or something. Like, they think this is a good thing. You know, I don't understand that. I mean, yes, I see there are certain people who have, you know, higher qualities in certain things than others, but they're still severely disabled in many departments and require around-the-clock care. That's not a super army. That's not a super race. They're not creating that. They're creating brain injury. It's insane. And I think it's hard for me because I'm going through a lot right now, Anu, because not only am I going through what I'm going through personally, but I'm going through a lot of scrutiny because I'm one of the only people, I guess, willing to be, I don't know if you want to call it kind enough or what, to talk to Paul and get him to talk to somebody on our side. You know what I mean? Like, that's a big feat. That was not easy. And I have been cussed at. I have been talked so down to for this, and I have received a lot of hate mail. And, you know, I'm thankful for all the support that I received on top of that, but I really wish people would understand that how in the world do we create change? Number one, if we're not being the change we want to see, but number two, if we are ignoring and we are like blocking ourselves away from the people on the other side who don't understand it yet, who still may need some help. And you know what? It may be harder to understand when millions of dollars going in your pocket depend on understanding it. And at some point, I really do hope that humanity and those kind of things win the day. I just don't give up easily. Just in my conversations with him, I got to say, I've seen just some subtle changes just in talking in email. He could be just playing me like a fiddle, but I haven't gotten that vibe yet. But there's, you know, it's interesting to me because I would think that looking at me, I would be one of the more threatening looking people you wouldn't want to have a conversation with. But because of how I carry myself, you know, he's told me he's interested. I've been asked, how come he won't talk to all the people who are begging him to debate? And so I asked him that question. And his response was, I don't want to talk to people who are literally painting me as evil and calling me names and making fun of me and, you know, this and that. He said, I want to be respected as a doctor for all my credentials for the person that I am, whether they think, you know, whatever or not. I'm respectful of them and who they are and what they think, and would be so if we were going to have, you know, a conversation. So he's just looking for, I guess, some sort of mutual respect from people if they want to talk to him. And that's the only, you know, thing that I've done is just, you know, treat him like a human being. And, you know, he's been quite nice to me. He said he's looking forward to doing my show. And I said, you know, we've talked about that. I said, you know that I'm going to ask you some really freaking hard questions to answer. He says, I understand that. I understand our science is going to be very different, but I'm looking forward to showing people we can actually talk cordially if there's just respect. So I don't know what could come of this in the future. Yeah, and that's what and I told him, I said, I hope this leads to the bigger debate. Hell, I'll moderate it. I hate being in front of cameras. I hate being live. I do it because we got to do that to be out here. I'd moderate it. I'd whatever. Like, dude, I would love for him to be able to actually have more confidence to talk to people who have the degrees on their side. I don't have that. You know what I'm saying? When I talk to people, it comes from my heart. I'm not one of those science droppers. So, I mean, this is going to be harder for me. You know, thank the Lord I've got some backup in our amazing movement here of amazing people. Send me your science through email, folks, LynetteMarie80@gmail.com. I've been sent some pretty awesome stuff I'm still every night up reading through tons and tons of things. I'm not going to say what I've been sent by who, but it's been some really good science and court cases and all kinds of good stuff. So, trying to mentally prepare my brain and fill it up as much as I can. But, woo, you know, I mean, it's a big deal to me because when I had Dell on the show, that was a big deal to me because I respect him. I respect what he's doing. I respect that he does it even with taking so much flack and BS from people, you know, and staying true to who he is. You know, same with a lot of people. And Dell, I even think, has a little ego, but we forgive him. You know, you know, I made a joke before, and I told you I've watched every episode of The High Wire, and me and my daughter always giggle because Dell always says something about being an Emmy Award winner from the hit show The Doctor. And I told Lala, and I said he needs to realize that that's not his glory football day. Like, his glory football day is happening right now. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I always feel like that was his big accomplishment, but really he's in his big accomplishment. He hasn't even, I don't think he's made it to his biggest accomplishment yet.
I think we're all doing something right now that, you know, people need to realize that this is much bigger than us.
Yeah.
I really hope that people see, and I'm talking about like everyone, right? Like, I hope people see that this is not about us. Like, our generation, this generation, and the generation that's below us, like our kids and stuff like that, right? I think what people need to realize is that everything that we're fighting for is actually going to affect our children's children more than it's going to affect us or our children's generation. And if we don't... You
won't even see the repercussion of this change. I think, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just wanted to say that real quick. You won't even see the tidal wave of the change for a little while. Like, it'd take a minute for it to sweep through that and see that happening, because it'd take a little bit for those numbers to start sloughing off, and you start to see children healthier and healthier and less damage and less damage. You know what I'm saying, though? It'd take a little while. Like, I just, it'd be a crazy thing to watch if I know we're going to win. I just don't have any doubts in our abilities. So when we win and things change and medical health freedom is actually a reality, just imagine what that's going to do. Just imagine what that's going to look like. And what a aha moment for all the people on the other side who realize that really nature and all these things we've been hollering about are really the best way to go. I really have a hard time understanding how doctors have gotten so brainwashed and have gotten to the point where they really believe that pharmaceuticals and all these things that are pretty much just all cooked up in these labs are better for you than anything you could find naturally. And the way that they treat you. I wish we could go back to the days when your doctor actually knew who you were, knew your entire family, came to your home, cared about you, cared about your kids. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's a whole different atmosphere. Our doctor personally is way more like that, and I love that, and I just wish that we had a lot more of those out here.
I think it's pretty easy for people to get trapped in the idea that all these things that we're doing, are better than, the old school natural way of doing things. I think it's pretty easy because what I see is that people see what, people see that it's coming from a place, people have this false sense of what science really is. And by that I don't mean that science is a problem, because, you know, like, we're fighting for, we have all these things like the March for Science, and we have all these type of things, right? Because people are afraid that science is being attacked, and I think that's where the problem is. That people aren't. I think the people that are really trying to, or asking questions of science, are asking questions of science because they're like, where's the real science, right? Like, nobody's saying science is completely bad. And and the people that are saying that, they don't really understand science, right? Like, the people that are just like, oh no, science is just bad. That they obviously don't understand how science works. But I also think the people that are just like, that explain things away by saying, well, that's science, you know, like something that isn't working, and then say, well, that's science. All these people are treating science like it's like a religion or something like that, and it's a way of belief. Science has nothing to do with belief, right? Belief it has to do with having faith in something without actual empirical evidence, right? And to say things like, you know, I don't trust science, it doesn't make any sense.
I want more science. You know, it's like, I don't, you know, and people always say that about people like us too, that we're anti-science, no, we're the ones begging for science while they're saying, we've got this kind of crappy data right here, and we'll just say it's enough, and we'll compare everything and just say, we'll just look back at this crappy data and say, this is okay. It's such a difference, and that's why I think, and I told Offit this is, to me, if you ever fully look at both sides, which I told him I am fully willing to. He's sending me his book because I told him I will actually read it. I will read it. I will read anything from both sides because I'm not a narrow-minded person. You know, I told him I wish he would be the same way. I hope he read JB's book. I have more for him. You know what I mean? It's like, but we have to open these doors up in order to communicate. I already know he's not going to convince me of anything. I already have seen all this stuff. He needs to see the stuff we've seen. You know, I mean, it's like, it's just so frustrating. It's like we really need to be looking at everything, and we need to be looking at every drop of science there is, whether we are looking at it and we're going, that can't be right. That's bull crap. Those numbers don't add up. Oh, wow, that's not a real placebo. Or we're going, oh, my goodness, that's what aluminum does in the brain of an autistic person versus Alzheimer's or this or that. Wow. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, we should be looking at everything.
We really should be looking at everything, and I think we should be taking the approach of good science. I mean, you know, I've said this before, and I'll say it again, is that, you know, people are out there marching for science, right? Like, there's a march for science. I don't think the question is whether or not science is good. I think what we like, instead of marching for science, we should be marching for scientific integrity, because that's what's really that's
I like that.
Really, you know, having a problem with, we're having a problem with in society, is that we don't have scientific integrity. I mean, there's scientists coming out all the time now that are saying that, you know, the peer review process is messed up. Scientific journals are all corrupted. There are these studies coming out that, like, honestly aren't really peer reviewed properly. It's just a bunch of people coming out. I mean, there's all these you know, points of data where you can see that scientific integrity is what has been lost, and it's getting worse and worse because the dissemination of information is becoming so easy for anybody to put anything up on the internet, and then, you know, people to take that as, you know, the word on what's happening, and it's like, it's causing two different problems. On the one hand, people look at what's on the internet and don't believe anything. And then there's people who, like, put stuff on the internet and then other people read it and people are like, well, I read it, you know, like, that's a problem, you know what I mean? I remember growing up and just being baffled by people saying things like, well, it's on the news, so it must be true. And I'm like, what?
Like, if it's on the news, it probably didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's like people who are that naive to the fact that these things can happen are obviously not being educated properly. I mean, you know, people, like, I say this all the time. You know, one of the things that I hate the most that people say, you know, it's actually a two-part thing. The first thing they say is, well, I've studied statistics, right? And then the next thing they say is numbers don't lie, right? Well, here's the thing, okay? If you've actually studied enough statistics, what you know is that there is a point in statistics where you have to look at the statistics, you have to look at the data and say, and really analyze where the numbers are coming from. James Lyons Weiler, by the way, is really good at this. He's really good at like looking numbers and looking at data and being like, well, these numbers just don't make any sense. He's really good at that. But like, what people don't see is that numbers don't lie. This is true, okay? Numbers don't lie because they say exactly what they say. There's no interpretation of a number. However, once you put a number along with other numbers, and then you infer something off of those numbers, that can be misunderstood. You know, how we interpret data and how we analyze it, and then develop ideas based off of it, those things can be wrong. But the thing that I say all the time is, sure, numbers don't lie, but the guy who writes them down can. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's
I know what you mean.
We put the blind faith in these numbers and the data and the science when nobody's asking, well, how did those numbers get there? You know, and it's like
people put such blind faith in these things, like they literally treat it like it's solid gold, like that's it, it's 100%. Same with like how they look at doctors, all of that. It's really mind-boggling. They forget that human beings and things like that are fallible. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it doesn't matter what your stature is or what kind of books you've read. I could read every book that they read sitting in my house, just not sitting in a room packed full of people. And you know what I'm saying? I mean, they can mess up. They're human beings. Just because they have a degree, just because they own a white coat, just because they own a stethoscope doesn't mean crap. I own a white coat and I have a stethoscope.
I mean, people really
you know what I'm saying?
Really think about it. Yeah, I mean that's the thing, right? It's just that, like, for instance, technically speaking, right? I am an expert in what I do, right? And like I have had years of experience, of practical experience, theoretical experience. I've gone to school for it. I've taught people in the kind of things that I do for a living. You know what I'm saying? Like I have a pretty impressive resume. Like I look very good on paper for what I do. Okay, but that doesn't mean I'm always right about what I do. You know what I mean? Like I am constantly learning every single day what's right and what's wrong. Like for instance, before I started with Vax, 10 months prior to that, right, I had just left the job. The job that I was working in, I was working for a medical marketing firm. And while I was working for that company, I really started seeing the impact of social media on marketing. I was really starting to see it, like, happen. You know, and it wasn't that it was actually happening, is that I saw something that was changing in the playing field of what marketing was going to be, and I started saying to my superiors in the company, like, hey, we should start going down some of these avenues and doing some of these things because this is what's going to be big later, right? And I realized at that moment, like, holy shit, everything that I've known up till now about how to do this stuff has to change completely. It has to completely change. And what's crazy about that to me is that, like, I come from an old school production mentality, right, where everything needs to look good and there needs to be good lighting and all this stuff. But it's funny, but now you get one person on an iPhone or something like that pointing a camera at themselves. The sound is good enough where you can actually hear them, and they're just doing, like, daily videos of them just talking about what's going on, and, like, that stuff is getting way more views. So it's like, at this point, we're talking about, like, well, okay, then maybe what really matters is good content, good quality and by quality I don't mean just like it looks pretty. Like it's important for it to look pretty, but it also matters what the content is, right? Like it matters so much more what the content is. Nowadays, there's people getting millions and millions of views on YouTube, and their stuff doesn't even look that great, but the content has value. And that's things are completely changing. So like for someone like me who's come up in the game from like legacy style production, I've had to completely change what I've been doing. I mean, and to think that there's any other industry or any other category of doing things in the world where things aren't changing it's just naive. To think that we figured everything out in science is ridiculous. I mean, I was just talking the other day about someone. We interviewed Zach Bush, right? Like Dell interviewed Zach Bush on the High Wire. And if you guys haven't watched this, by the way, you've got to watch Zach Bush. Zach Bush interview on the High Wire. It's called, I think we called the episode "Are You Bulletproof?" And Zach Bush is basically saying that we have science now. Right? We have science now that is essentially saying that we belong in the dirt. Like we've come full circle, right? Like we came from the dirt, we got all scienced out and sterilized everything in our environment, and now we've realized, oh shit, we were better off actually having more of the dirt. But now there's science to prove it. How cool is that?
Yeah, right. Dude, I mean, some of these people who have come out with some of the science, thank God for them. I know Exley, I know it was hard for Exley to, put his stuff out there and put his neck on the line. I mean, I actually had one of his students reaching out to me, and I was part of a study for one of his students. For my daughter, it was a study about autism. And, we were talking about Exley and this, kind of what he went through and how hard it's been because, I mean, you know how it is. As soon as you say something about vaccines, you become, you're blacklisted. You are all of a sudden, they look at you differently. And where you used to be someone that a lot, maybe all of them would have asked questions or respected, it kind of changes. And it's sad, but that's just the way it is. And I think on our side, I haven't seen it. Like, actually blows my mind with some of the stuff they've done with that and, like, looking at really how different aluminum is in the body and the brain of a person with autism versus a person with Alzheimer's. And seeing, how it goes intracellular and then seeing how it all floods to the area because it is intracellular. I mean, all these things, it's like, holy smokes, Batman. It's mind-blowing. But that's what's so frustrating to me is how can you have this science and the CDC not see it? How can you have it, parents say it on the mic, tell them it's there, and they still haven't looked at it? How come people like Christopher Exley aren't coming to the CDC presenting? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was talking to one of my friends about, what is it going to take? I feel like that's a conversation everybody's having all the time. Like, what is it going to take? And I keep thinking about this idea that, I don't know if things, and it's kind of worrisome, but like I keep thinking about the fact that human beings in history have only ever really fixed a large problem when things got really bad. So is it like, are we waiting for things to get even worse? Like, how much worse can it get before people are like, okay, we need to fix this now?
Right.
I wonder about that a lot. I wonder about, well, what are we waiting for? Like, how bad does it have to be? Do people have to literally be able to not do anything before people are like, oh, shit, things are getting really bad? I've talked about this on the show before. There was a conversation that I had with a friend of mine a few years ago now where, we were having this conversation well before it started to really seep out into the mainstream media that, like, things were really bad. But, like, we were talking about how there's going to come a time where essentially the breakdown in the system is going to be so bad that you're not going to be able to do normal things. And that type of stuff is already starting to happen. it's already starting to happen. People are so not just undereducated but miseducated, right? That things just aren't working properly. I mean, basic services are starting to become a problem. You can't, like, I remember not being worried about, like, calling, and I know these are first world problems, but you got to extrapolate what this means, right? I remember it not being a problem. Like, if you called the phone company and wanted to have them come by and set up a phone line in your house, you kind of knew that it was going to be done right. Or if you called a plumber or something like that, they would come by, they would do the work, and it would be done, and then you could move on, right? But my experiences now with services like that, right, are the person comes by, sets it up, it's done wrong. You have to call them. Takes an hour to get them to like get you someone who's actually going to come by and fix it. Then they don't come by for 2 weeks. Then they come back in 2 weeks. They fix the thing, or they say they fix the thing. They spend a couple hours fixing it, right? And then they go away, and it still doesn't work properly. This happens 3 to 4 to 5 times before it actually gets done right. And I see that happening across the board now. So, like, what I'm starting to see is a basic breakdown in what's, you know, in the functionality of society. And it's just going to get worse. People are just going to get worse and worse and worse if we don't do something about it. I'm wondering what the answer is. I personally believe that we need to completely redo the way we do education. I think the basis of all our problems is that our educational system is flawed. The way we teach people is completely and utterly flawed.
We teach people to be narrow-minded. We teach people to only believe the one thing that they're being mainstreamed into their brain, and that's all they should believe. Not to look at anything else, not to explore, not any of that. And then I was telling my daughter, I you know, maybe this is just the way I see things. But it seems like the more time has gone by and the world has changed, it feels like it's changed more and more towards breaking down the family unit. You know, back in the day, your whole family was usually pretty close. You would have something more similar to like a compound, and you would all kind of be on the same land, just different housing, or sometimes even in the same place, depending on how close you were. But, I mean, you know, your family was kind of tight-knit. They stayed close enough that if something was ever go down, the government did something stupid, whatever the case may be, you've got each other's backs. And the more time has gone by, the more people have separated, the more people have gone their own ways, the more everybody kind of has just gotten, like, the family unit seems so separated. People barely even talk on holidays, it seems. I mean, I've never had a family. Maybe I'm just crazy. This is just the way I've kind of witnessed things from the outside here. You know, but I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but it just seems like everything has gotten more to, like, every kid that I've ever, like, I hear talking about going to college, they always want to go across the planet to go to college. Like, you know, it's not about being near your family anymore. It's not about being a family unit.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's what I find interesting is that we're connecting in a completely different way now than we ever have. And, you know, I know that there's a lot of people that say that, you know, the internet and social media has separated people a lot more. I used to think that, but recently I've kind of changed my mind on it a little bit. And what I see is that people are connecting to each other way more now than they ever have. Now, that being said,
they are, but they aren't, Anu. I'm going to give you an example. Yeah, it was stressful. When I was at ACIP, I love everybody so much. They know I do, but I was the one who kept telling everybody, because I'm sitting at a table of 20 people or more, and every time I'd look down, I'm sitting there, I kept my phone in my purse. I kept my phone in my purse to the point I was annoying the people back home because I was ignoring everybody because I was just trying to be in that moment and be with my people. But everybody around the entire table was on their cell phones. Most of the time we were together as a group. And so it was hard because I kept saying, everybody put away your phones and be in the moment, you know, and everybody kind of giggle or whatever. But I meant it. It was you know, because, I mean, we only have these few bits when we're actually together, not just sitting on a computer, you know, like this. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted everybody to be in that moment and enjoy that moment. And instead of worrying so much about what everybody on Facebook thought about that moment, you know, I didn't even check my phone until later that night every day, like when I was going to bed, because I just wanted to be with them. I wanted to enjoy them. I wanted to, you know what I mean, just get to know them on a personal level. I didn't want it to be so technology-filled. I didn't go live
Yeah,
while I
you
was
know,
there, Anu. I didn't take one picture from my phone. If anybody saw that, everything that came from ACIP came from somebody else. And I'm the one who invited everybody. But and I felt bad for that in some way, but in another way I kind of didn't, because I use that as my disconnect in order to connect, you know?
Yeah, and you know, like, I'm with you on that. Like, the connection with people when you're in the moment with people, right? Like, getting and actually connecting with people. That makes total sense to me. The thing is, I think people go full the other way. The problem is that like, people are either saying that, you know, you need to completely disconnect, or they're saying that, like, you know, well, actually, you don't hear a lot of people saying that you should be completely online, but you people act like that, right? Like, people, when they're around
Right.
people, they don't actually connect with people. I think that's the problem, is that what's happened is, on the one hand, we've gotten a lot more connected around the world, but on the same plane, what we've also missed out on is how to actually be part of a smaller community. Like, we've
Right.
like, there's no question about it. I am way more connected to more people and actually having real connections with more people because of social media than I've ever had before. That being said, when I'm in the room with people, I've noticed that people are disconnected, right?
That's right. Yep.
And those are two separate problems. That's not the same
Yep.
problem. I think a lot of people think it's the same problem because they always want to blame something outside of themselves.
Right.
There is no way that you can blame social media for the fact that you can't actually talk to somebody. That's stupid. Okay? People blame social media. People say it's an addiction or whatever, blah, blah, blah. People even blame people, right, like, for that thing. But the thing is that when it really comes down to is, I think most people are terrified of actual connection. I think people are terrified of it because they're so scared of being rejected. Anything in their sphere that's
how I feel.
destroys their reality, they get completely. They're just like, no, screw it, I'm not doing that.
I'll do it, but I'm scared to death while doing it. Like, even going there. I mean, you know, we've talked. I mean, I look like I'd be someone who's just like, ah, in your face, but in person, I'm a much more shy person. Someone just commented yesterday and said, I can't believe she does a radio show, and all y'all's live videos at ACIP, she was very shy and quiet. It's like, yeah, because when I'm in a group of people like that, and it's their thing, their lives, their whatever, you know, I'm trying to be respectful. I don't know what they do and don't say. I don't know everybody's personal views 100%. I try to respect whatever they're doing and just kind of be quiet in the background. I said to them, I'm like, look, when I'm on my radio show, that's when I get to be 100% me. I like not being where people are looking at me, but they can hear me. You know what I mean, though? Like, I feel more comfortable this way. I like the way I look, but maybe a lot of the world doesn't. I stand out like a light bulb in a dark room, I've been told. But maybe that's a good thing. I'm not sure yet. But, you know, I mean, everybody's got to be somewhere. Everybody's got to be whoever they are, I guess, you know. But, I mean, I do get nervous going to these things. I do get nervous being around other people because there are some women, I think, I mean, they're just beautiful women. They were brought up differently. They look, you know, you can tell they're just very different than me. And so, you know, for me, it was hard because you always wonder if someone's judging you or what they think of you or how they see you. But at the end of the day, I don't really care. I just like to be me, and I hope that they love me anyway. And, you know, usually that works out. So it's kind of fun to have friends who are so different from you.
I think that's what it comes down to, honestly. Like, whatever way it is that you connect with people, like, be the best at that. I think the problem is that people are blaming an externality for their lack of ability to connect with people, right? Like, for instance, someone could say, Lynette, that you use the radio show in the same way other people use social media, right? Like, you're who you are on your radio show, but when you're in person with somebody, you're not the same way, and they might fault you for doing that, right? Like, I'm Like, I'm way better in person with people than I am through social media or through texting, messaging, calling. Like,
I have
way
to
better
get to
in
know
person.
people. Like, see,
Right.
like you, I've been around a few times. I'm cool with you. Like, I would be able to be whatever. You know, I could be myself completely. Like,
Right.
I was like that. Like Denise and her girlfriend, we had a good time when I was in my car with them. You know what I mean? It was like let loose. You can be yourself. But it's hard for me because I feel like in a way too, I have to carry myself a certain way, and you know, so I try really hard to watch my mouth. You know, when I'm around the whole group, I try really hard to just be a better example because I feel like we need that. And, you know, I'm not a perfect person. I mean, you know me. I cuss, I do whatever. But at the same time, when I'm out like that and we're in a place like that, we're representing our whole entire group. And so I've got to put my game face on, and I've got to remember that. And I want everybody else to do the same thing. Like, we're all representing each other. We might all be separate people, but we're still united, a force. And this is what, you know, this is how they need to see us as a united force, not a bunch of separate.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think people need to realize that more about you know, being in public, or not just. I'm not saying like act a certain way. I'm just saying like I'm saying, you know, show respect for other people. And it's like I think people are mistaking be yourself for do whatever the fuck you want. You know what I mean? Like I think people like I kid you not. People think that you know, being yourself means saying whatever the hell you want, do whatever you want. There's a difference between being someone that stands up for what they believe in and speaks their mind, and someone who's just flat out insensitive.
Yep.
You know, I've dealt with this a lot with friends and people I've known who are always saying things, and I know people like that right now that annoy the living shit out of me, who think it's okay, right, to just constantly make snide remarks and do comebacks and you know that condescending tone that people have. Like, I know people that are like that even in that do this kind of stuff in professional settings, that do this kind of stuff in personal settings. They think it's okay to constantly make snide remarks and make smart aleck comments and stuff like that, because they think that is being an individual and having your own opinion and doing your own thing. You know what I mean? And what people don't understand is it's easy to open your mouth and say some shit that's bad. You know, like, it's easy to make snide remarks. It's easy to be an asshole, right? It's really easy to be an asshole. It's really hard to be a good person and really want the best for the person that's in front of you. I mean, you started off today by saying, right, you started off today by saying that, like, when I'm talking to you, when I'm talking to people, what you've noticed is that I'm not trying to figure out what you want to hear. You know what I mean? I'm really not trying to figure out what you want to hear. I have a very good idea what you probably want to hear. I'm not just talking about you. I'm talking about anybody I talk to.
I know it.
What I'm trying to do in most cases, and this isn't about me trying to be a good person or anything like that. It really, honestly, Lynette, like, people will be like, oh, that's because you're a good person. Like, okay, yeah, but honestly, most of that comes from me, like, analyzing the logic of it. For me, it's a very, like, Vulcan thing. It serves you no good. It serves you no good, and the person that I'm talking to, whoever I'm talking to, for me to literally just placate them. Right? Like, it does no good for you. So why even waste my time doing it? Like, what good does it do me to waste my time just telling you what you want to hear? It's a waste of my time, too. It's a complete waste of my time. You don't get anything out of it. You don't get to progress.
Just lip service.
So
it's not helping anybody.
It really is lip service. So, like, you know, I ask people. I have a couple really, really close friends that have known me for years, that I grew up with and stuff like that, and they don't pay me lip service, and I love talking to them because they're straight up just like, I knew you're screwing up. And I'm like, yeah, you know what, you're right. I am screwing up. And I love that. I see that there's
Yep.
a lot, and I'm just going to bring it back to the community for a second. And this is some truth coming at you. So, brace
Prepare
yourself. Prepare yourself. Yeah. There are a gargantuan ton of people in this community that do nothing but pay lip service. And then they go around and they talk shit and then they actually do things to depreciate somebody else's value.
Yep.
And all of y'all that are doing that, quit it. Like, that shit is ridiculous.
Yep.
I see it over and over and over again, you guys. Like, you guys don't understand how much, like, I don't know if people really understand, man. Like, there are so many people in this community that are over the top just placating people, just, like, trying to pay lip service and blah, blah, blah. And then they turn around and they screw shit up. And they're just being mean, and they're trying to diminish other people and trying to, like, stop other people from getting somewhere. It's really, really lame, you guys.
Yep. Yep. It's happening to me a lot right now. A lot of people, it doesn't matter what you're doing, but if you're doing something that's, like, I feel like I don't think I'm going to work magic here when it comes to off it. I don't. I'm not, like, delusional or anything, guys. I don't need to be locked up or anything and put in a straitjacket. I just think that there is a starting point somewhere. If you never have the starting point, then there's never anything past that. And that's all I'm trying to do. And I really want to say this to anybody listening in today. Please save. If you're one of the people sending me hate mail, please save it, okay? I don't want to have to explain to every single person why I feel the need to do what I'm doing. I don't have to do that. Hopefully people at this point, if you don't know me well enough to have faith in me and what I'm up to, then either keep following me and get to know me, or if you can't handle that, then, I'm sorry, you'll have to go. But, I mean, seriously, I don't want to have any more people. Number one, if I'm asking you to be respectful on my pages and on my post about this, please do so. Stop cussing on them. Stop talking down on them. Like, I get that everybody, hates Paul Offit. I understand that. I really do. My daughter had interception twice from rotavirus vaccine. I understand it. I've seen all the things that he's said in, media, all this and that and the other. He told me straight up, vaccines don't cause autism. We've argued this point many times. But you have to at some point understand that if you lead with hate, you're never going to get anywhere but hate. You have to lead with love to ever make it past point one, point A, whatever you want to call it. That's where I'm at. And I don't want any more bullcrap sent to me or put on my post. Save it for your, save the drama for your mama, take it to the grump dump. I don't want it.
Yeah, it's interesting to me that people behave the way they do, because we're fighting for something that's so much bigger than any one of us. And the fact that so many people are, preoccupied with making themselves look good, is kind of sad, man. It's really, really sad. I wish people would get out of their own way and realize that you are insignificant. You are not what's important here. Like, stop for a second and realize that you are not important. You know what I mean? Yep. The cause is important. Yep. We as a community are important. Each one of us is important to the community, but you are not what is the important part about all of this. So many people that are out there like, hey guys, I've done this and I've done that and I've done this and I've done that. Like guys, nobody gives a shit.
I want everybody out there to hear this real quick, just so y'all know. Facebook is really trying to get me. Just so in case something happens, just so everybody knows, yesterday Facebook completely booted me, made me come up with new password, new everything, go through this whole shebang of all kinds of posts and all kinds of stuff. And then just now they kicked me back out again, and they're saying, sorry, something went wrong, and they won't let me back into Facebook. People were messaging me about the show and different things, so I just wanted to let y'all know if they do anything dumb to me. That's kind of sad. I've had a Facebook since, like, forever ago, I think like 2010. So let's hope they don't go attacking my page. But just warning everybody, if something happens, you can reach me at LynetteMarie80@gmail.com. That is my regular email. So anyway, crazy. Just wanted to put that out there. I'm trying to get back in. Yeah. I don't understand. This has been happening a lot.
Did they already kick you out?
I'm kicked out right now, and it won't let me back in. I'm trying to get back in, and it just keeps saying Facebook error, something went wrong, and it won't let me in. They've done this to me for 2 days now. Yeah, I don't know. It's like I said, I had to redo my password, all kinds of stuff yesterday. They acted like someone had busted into my account, and then it was, I don't know, it was interesting to me. I don't know. Since I've posted about the show with Offit and everything kind of went off from that, my page has been acting really silly. I blew up with like 300 friend requests in like 2 days, all kinds of stuff like that. I'm like, holy crap. So, and I lost a lot of followers and a lot of friends too, so whatever.
You know, I hate to be the guy that says this, honestly, Lynette, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was someone, and I know this is mean to say, and I'm not trying to be divisive and cause trouble in the community, but I would not be surprised if it was someone in our community that's causing you shit. Like, I wouldn't be surprised one bit. I've seen some really messed up shit happen in this community, people doing horrible things to other people just because they feel slighted in some way, or they think they're fighting the good fight, so they're like, oh my God, I have to save everybody in this community from Lynette because Lynette's going to talk to Paul Offer. Like, you know what I mean? I know that there's people in this community.
Oh, I've been going through it. I've been seeing it. I'm not friends with any of those people, but I've been being messaged, of course. People always keep me on the up and up. Thank you to everybody who had my back in that. In those manners. But this happens to me anytime I do something a little bit outrageous to somebody. When I had Wakefield on, I was under attack like crazy, and I kind of found that insane because I was under attack by our side when I had Wakefield on, same kind of people. And, it's just sad. Like, I have been called names that you should never call a woman by some of these people. It's some of the things that were said about me by some of these people were really insane. And, derogatorily disgusting. And so, I don't even think a lot of people even know what I'm talking about. But it's just crazy, how you get under attack. And you try to make a change. You try to do something. If they don't understand it, rather than try to ask you questions or figure it out, they just decide that they're going to attack you. And anybody who talks to you or is your friend or anything like that, they'll also attack. And I've lost a lot of friends because of that, and that's okay. And if people keep saying to me, Lynette, why aren't you coming back? Why aren't you coming back at them? Why aren't you coming back at them? That is not me. I refuse to let somebody change the way that I am going to act or react. And I don't have anything to say to those people because they don't deserve that from me. I'm not who those people are saying I am. Therefore, they don't deserve that from me. I know who I am. The people who know me know who I am, and that's all I have to worry about. God's got the rest of this. Those people will get theirs in due time. It has nothing to do with me.
That's the only way to look at it, honestly, because it's like, I don't think people really understand. A lot of people, I don't think they see how much hatred is actually coming from inside the community. I think it's really sad that it's really bad, you guys.
Anu,
I'm
Paul Offit is nicer to me than some of the people in our community. There's something wrong with the world when he is more cordial to me than some of the parents in our community. That's not okay. There's nothing okay about that. That's kind of weird. Come on, guys. What is going on out there? And, let me tell you something else. If you see somebody doing that to somebody else, don't be a part of it. Don't get in there and act the fool. Don't get in there. If you don't know what's going on, don't open your mouth. Don't be a part of it. Seriously. I mean, really, into either side you're taking, just let it be. The less people who interact with it, it just goes away. It fizzles out. The more people, let me jump on this. Ooh, drama in the movement. Ooh, let's do this. This is fun. The more it gets bigger and bigger and sillier. You know what I mean? That's why I refuse. I don't care who. People can say whatever they want to say about me. Believe me, it's been said. You know it has. I am not going to play their games. I refuse. I'm sorry. It's not my battle. God says he's going to get vengeance. It's not my fight. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be doing me, and I'm going to keep going towards the bigger goal of the change that needs to actually occur. I hope that the people who want to do that join me. You know what I mean? If you don't have time for doing what we're here to do and you'd rather be petty or go play on people's posts or go do whatever, delete me, block me, get rid of me. I don't care. Like, seriously. I don't mean me. People, I've been memed. I've been made fun of. Like I said, I've been called names you should never call a woman because of me choosing to do this show. Whatever. You know what I mean? I'm going through enough in the background that half that I can't even hear. Like, you know, that stuff ain't even in my brain. So, I mean, you know, they're wasting their own breath and their own time and their own internet time, I guess I'll say, because I'm not playing the game. So, you know, everybody just move on. Be good people. Treat each other right. Oh, my goodness. Anu, I love you, my friend. I'm so appreciative of you. I'm so glad to hear that everything is going so good and you're getting so much going. I can't wait to hear about it. Call me this week and update me, my friend. We need to catch up.
I will do. Have a great rest of the show and a great day, great week, great everything.
I will, my friend, and I love you. You do the same, and stay safe out there in California, man. I know it's crazy.
Oh, I'm about to order me a mask.
Right? I have one. You need me to send you one? I got one for when I was soaping. It's a nice respirator. Love you. I love you too. Sorry, Lily had to come tell me she loved me. All right, you guys, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. And, yes, my baby. Well, I love you, my friend. I got to jump to a quick commercial break and help Freedomizer pay these bills, and then I will be back on with Erin Marie RN. So excited to talk to her. Y'all just hang on to your horses, and we'll be right back.
Call in our live number at 319-527-6208. That's 319-527-6208. Press 1 to participate on the air.
You are listening to Freedomizer Radio, where Freedomizers freedomize freedom.
You know the Constitution like the back of your hand. You've read books, listened to podcasts, attended lectures, surfed websites, and watched videos. You've made liberty your life's goal, but something seems to be missing. Stickers from LibertyStickers.com. Exercise your freedom of speech with the world's most dangerous bumper stickers. That's LibertyStickers.com. But wait, there's more. You can buy Liberty Stickers wholesale. Get them for 99 cents each when you put 100 or more in your shopping cart in any combination. Sell them or give them away. They're great for gun shows, flea markets, fairs, outreach, and more. Earn extra money, promote freedom, and spread the word. Need custom stickers, labels, or decals for your organization or business? Liberty Stickers makes them. Go to LibertyStickers.com to order or call 877-873-9626. LibertyStickers.com, the world's most dangerous stickers.
How would you like to make your work more enjoyable, be more creative and relaxed, all while sitting at your desk? That's exactly what my Serenity Rug has done for me. This revolutionary footrest, I can't even call it a footrest because this thing encourages movement of your feet, which results in more blood flow. While traditional footrests advocate the motionless placement of your feet, I found that I'm unconsciously digging my feet into the long, soft grass strands of the Serenity Rug. It delivers an incredibly relaxing sensation that closely resembles the feeling of an exotic foot massage. If you have ever had a foot massage that made you want to stay there for hours, you know what I'm talking about. If you have not heard about the Serenity Rug, check them out at serenityrug.com and join the exclusive Serenity Rug community and enjoy a feeling of comfort and relaxation that most will never experience. They've sold out before, so I suggest you do your feet a favor and grab one of these. Again, that's serenityrug.com.
Get ready for the epic new documentary adventure ride of your life. Shade, the motion picture. A view into the globalist domain. An Embellis and Burma's film.
Nothing in this world works the way you think it does. Nothing. Governments do not operate the way you think they do. Banks do not do what you think they do. The police department is not here for what you think it is. Nothing in your world works the way you think it does.
We had to let them know that their world government has been identified, and they thought they'd implode the world economy to bring in a worldwide police state, but instead it's going to bring them down.
You have to stand up, speak up, speak out.
Shade, the motion picture. Order your copy of the DVD today at shadethemotionpicture.com.
All right, everybody. You are listening to Forsaken Generation Radio Show. I am your host, Lynette Marie RN. That was Anu Vaidya joining me the first hour, as usual, for Case of the Mondays. And now I have Miss Erin Marie RN joining me. Can you hear me, Erin?
Yes, I can. Hi, Lynette.
Hey, girl. Welcome to the show. I'm so glad to have you today. I'm so excited you could make time.
I am so happy to be doing this with you as well. It's so exciting.
Well, I'm glad you're here with me. I know it's I know I'm a shy in person. That's what Anu and I were talking about. I'm a little less of a character than I am when I'm on air because I'm in my own home and I feel a little bit more comfortable. So we're gonna have a good time. But I wanted to thank you first off before we even get into your story or anything like that. I wanted to thank you so much for coming to ACIP. I know you flew in from Florida. I know you spent your own money to do that, and I just wanted to thank you so much for being a voice in that room.
Yeah, I mean, that was just such an incredible experience that I can't imagine not going to every single one of these until
that's how I got snagged.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things that you actually have to see it to really, believe it. And the way that
you really do
putting these vaccines through, it's just incredible. I mean, I had to walk out of the room a few times because it literally made my stomach, upset just seeing.
Yeah.
Just.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah, it really is overwhelming. And
when I first started going, I was by myself in there, and I remember thinking it was very overwhelming for me because I walk in there with my autism mom shirts and all my activism shirts, and I'm sitting by myself in a room full of the enemy. Pretty much is how it feels, And so it was pretty hard at first. And so this past time with all of you, sitting, all around the room, it was just like the most powerful feeling for me personally because I haven't seen that happen yet. And I knew that this room hasn't seen that yet. So watching the difference, it was interesting seeing how it went in June because they weren't expecting, number one, I don't think they were expecting me to get up and talk. They were probably hoping I wasn't. And, so when I finally got up at the end there and said my piece, it was just crazy to watch how the room responded. And especially, some of the doctors were hideous. And I remember thinking, oh, my goodness, I would love to see those people when I go back because I've got a mouthful for them, but that I really wouldn't.
Right.
That's just how it feels. But, the thing is, when we go in there, not only are we our presence is important, but they come up and talk to a lot of us. And I think that the more they see us as human beings and we have those personal conversations during the breaks and afterwards, and in the background, the more they can't treat us like we're not human beings,
right.
You know what I'm saying, though? There's a woman who's seen me come every time I've been there who's on the outer part, and she's not the inner panel, but she's at the outer table, beautiful blonde-headed woman. And I don't remember what the organization is she's with, but every time now she comes by me, she says, hey, what's up, blah, 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 because we've talked so many times that, she's used to seeing me at this point.
She's getting to know you,
Yeah, exactly. She knows my story now. Before I knew who she was on the outer table, I had told her my story walking up. She's actually who showed me how to get to ACIP the first time. I had no idea where I was going. Wow. I was scared to walk. Yes. I was at the little light across the street. How you park in the parking garage and you come to the little stop and you got to walk across. I was standing there, and I was like, oh, crap, I hope I figure out where to go in here. And she kind of gave me the one over, and, here I am, blue hair, tatted up, and she's like, where are you going? And I said, ACIP, and she said, yeah. And she said, you're going to behave yourself in there, right? And I said, yes, ma'am, always. I'm a God-fearing woman. Yeah, I said, yes, ma'am, always. I'm a God-fearing woman. And she just looked me up and down again, and she was like, okay, well, I'll show you where to go. So as soon as we started walking across the street, I started telling her, why I was there, about my girls, about everything that happened. And her face was on the floor by the time we made it to the door in security. But then it didn't help because I got stopped by security because my ex had put a knife in my bag and I didn't know it. So, kind of went, a little bad from there on my part. But, so yeah, it was a little crazy, but actually it was kind of funny because now the security guards and I just kind of cut up, and you've seen how they are. I've told everybody, security guards are glad we're there. Those guys are hilarious. Like, they know this
they
stuff.
Really
they were thanking the parents for their stories. Like, they were great. So they kind of make it a little bit less edgy when you're in there because at least you know the security ain't mad at you.
Yeah. Just to touch on that, because just to go back a little bit, like when you said that, it was, such a good feeling to have everybody in there. And it was actually, when you just said that, it actually gave me goosebumps because we are a really, really, really strong force when we are all together. And it felt really awesome to just be able to just be surrounded by all these same like-minded, parents and, other, PhDs and doctors and, and it's not just, us by ourselves, but together we're just like a huge force. And that's why I think it's so important that we just keep building that force, at these meetings because they are looking at us, and it was really
and I know you've got us some more folks coming.
Faces, but what's that?
Yeah, I know you've got us a lot. I know you've got us a lot more folks who you're trying to get to show up next time, and I appreciate you trying to help us build the numbers.
I'm working on getting a lot more men involved and dads, and
we need them.
We need some.
We're talking to mostly men. Yes, we're talking to mostly men, and we need their backup. And I think that the sad part is a lot of those men don't respect us just because we're women and just mothers in their eyes. And it's, and even some of us who got up to the mic who had qualifications. You have qualifications. Jamie had qualifications. Lyra. A lot of these people who got up there, they have letters next to their name or however you want to say it, and they still didn't. You could tell there was still a major level of disconnect. And it was just so sad to see because you're a prime example. You believe what they told you for a little while there. You were part. You're a nurse. You understand this system better than probably most people do. You have to see this firsthand. So, your statement was very powerful to me. I was shaking when you were up there talking because I was like, yes, get them, girl. And then when you brought up, your military experience, and you talked about how you were out there protecting us, but when you get back, your family wasn't protected. That gave me goosebumps because it was like, really, you got the Secretary of Defense, you got a lot of the people in that room who needed to hear that. They needed to understand that part. Here you've said, hey, I will give my life for this country if need be. And, it looks like you have a pretty extensive, badass military career, too. So kudos to you, girl. I lived on Camp Pendleton. My ex-husband was a Marine, and I know it ain't easy as a woman to be out there in the military, especially if you're beautiful.
Well, and that's one – thank you. But that's one thing that really actually, pissed me off is because I'm standing there and these hollow souls looking back at you. Yeah, the majority of men that are probably, looking at women like, they don't know anything. But just to be completely disregarded, it's just, it really is a slap in the face. And like, that's why I feel like we need our men to come back us up because not so much that, but just as even support, and to show these men sitting on these chairs that they're not all that great, really.
Well, we almost accomplished my first goal for ACIP. The first goal I set for ACIP, other than getting people to join me, was to have so many people there that we needed more chairs, that they had to go get more chairs. Now, this time you saw they had to make people squeeze in and make room because there were people standing in the back. But then they were also a-holes and said anybody who's not our worker is now not allowed to be over there and sit on the left or right side. You have to move to the crowd that's already packed. Now, that was insane to me. That's never happened before. They've never cared that our side is set on either side of that ever at a meeting. So, once again, they're trying to make things – yes, they're trying to – they do little things that change each time. I've been going for a while, so I always kind of notice what's happening that's different,
Well, that's Leanne, Anita, and I got there a little late, and that's exactly where we sat. That's where I snapped that picture of Dr. Offit. So yeah, we were quickly kicked out of that spot. I don't know if it's because of my photo op, but yeah.
I'm kind of surprised they haven't said we're not allowed to have our cell phones out yet. I'm kind of waiting for them to go that route because I didn't. Okay, now when I first started going, you don't see that. Okay, when it was just me or just me and the High Wire team, nobody was sitting there recording everybody's statements or doing any of that. Like even the High Wire team would just watch the live stream from one of them would be at the hotel and they would be recording whatever was being said from the stream. They wouldn't be in there with phones or anything. So this past time, when you get all of us in there, and as soon as one of us gets on the mic, everybody's got their cell phones out, leaning in the view, and you know, it was a big deal. It was a big difference in that room. They're not used to any of that, so it was funny to watch their faces, like, what the hell is going on in here?
Well, once we grabbed a couple of them sleeping, I think that first day they were sleeping, and I think they probably had their own little. These guys are like FBI agents in here. They're going to catch everything, and we did. We sure
so
did
you see what was going down with security? Me and Claudia talked about it a little bit. I was like sitting outside the second day a little bit, watching everything going down because I knew something was going to happen when it came to the comment time. I pay attention to everything, and I watch everybody's back. I felt like I invited y'all there. I kind of have to pay attention to what's going down. And so I'm sitting out there listening, and they brought the police. And then, you know, they had all these security people, and I kept, like, the police would go in and out of the ACIP room where the meeting was going on and walk out the side door, security go in the side door. Like, all these things were happening, and it was like, what's really going on here? I still don't know what was going on other than I think they thought when they said there was going to be a hard stop at 1:45, they thought we might uprise or something. So I'm glad everybody kept, you know, for the most part we behave. But I think that's what they expected. And I don't know if you saw this, but afterwards, one of the security guards walked to the back and started thanking the parents for their stories because he ended up having to be in the room just in case something happened. And instead, he got to listen to the stories, and he come over and thanked the parents.
He was an older gentleman, right? I think I was sitting around with you guys. Yep. And you know what? It was actually really interesting is a lot of those security guards were listening to us like, oh, really? You know, and they actually were like, you know, kind of really like waking up. And I think they, you know, I think just having our presence there is just enough to, you know, have people just kind of question like, wow, like all of these, you know, people came in from all over the United States, even, you know, I mean, Brandy came in all the way from, you know, over in Europe. Like
Europe.
So I don't know. I think that what I really am hoping for, though, is that everybody just, because if there will be a lot more of us in February, and I really want everyone to just, I don't know, we need to just kill them with kindness. I just don't want any, you know, I worry, you know, because their emotions are really flying high in that room, and it's upsetting. And I mean, I mentioned earlier,
we
like
really need
to
convene before this goes down. I want to get as many. If you invite people, please bring them to that page. I'll even add you if you don't mind. I need help. I'm the only admin running Inundate. Okay. So I mean, I know you're busy, but if you even have somebody you trust you could recommend to help me, like I need some help with that because especially if you're going to like be inviting people and stuff, because it'd be great if we had like we could all kind of talk about this before we go. And I understand emotions are flying high, and I understand this is so hard, but we just need everybody to really take a deep breath and try not to be rude, try not to be condescending, try not to be pretty much like you're flipping the bird in their faces. We've got to do this with a certain amount of tact, or they're not going to let us keep coming in. You know, if all they feel like is everybody spitting nails at them, they're not going to let us keep coming. We've got to just put our facts out there, put really what happened out there. We can't be like F you. I mean, really, I tried to kind of, I didn't even know what I was going to say when I got up there, but I just wanted to make sure that I went from point A to point Z on my family story and how the system works, and I hope that I, had done okay. And, we don't, it's not even about all the facts or the data or the science you can remember to bring. I mean, just like a lot of what you said, it was very potent, it was very powerful. I saw a lot of the faces. I saw the military people. I scanned the whole room while people are talking, and that you had people paying attention because they had a certain level of respect. You when you mentioned your military, that was, I just felt like it did help because you let them understand that. For me, I just feel like, I don't know. I just have a very high level of respect for people who have served in our military. I see so many of our military now stranded and left homeless in our country, and
that's
it's
sad.
just a very sad thing.
And that's one of the things that they were focusing on with oh my gosh, I'm trying to stop the Hep A.
No, the Hep A,
targeting the homeless population, and darn well that the majority of that homeless population are veterans.
Mm-hmm.
So,
mm-hmm.
They failed on a lot of different fronts. I mean that is its own, the homelessness and the treatment of veterans is its own entity, and then this vaccines. But they're just failing us on so many fronts. And as a parent, people are just overwhelmed with all this information being thrown at them from all different angles, and it's very overwhelming. And I think that's why we're here doing what we're doing to fix that and help parents understand exactly what's really going on, and try to get the people that are in charge of this nonsense at the CDC to really, I don't know, give in a little bit, meet us somewhere in the middle where we can, come to some sort of compromise. Let's fund the vax versus unvax study. I'd be happy to raise money for it. I was listening to Dell a week or so ago. Someone brought it up, and I think that's a great idea. And why not?
The thing that my brain cannot wrap around, I think one of the biggest parts my brain cannot wrap around is how they can say it's unethical to test vaccines on pregnant women, but it's ethical to give them to women and then relay the post-market data. And those women who are being given it think this has already been tested. They think this has already been safety tested. They don't realize they are the safety test. So,
these
are some of the things that I really can't wrap my head around. Do what?
Were you offered it when you were pregnant?
I was given a Tdap while pregnant because I had a cut on my finger.
So you were given it. That's right. Yeah, and they offered it to me too.
26 weeks. Yeah,
but
they didn't offer me.
I just thought
they pretty much bullied me. My teenager was with me. Yeah, they told me if I didn't take it, my daughter would die of tetanus in the womb. And I was in there for a tiny little stitch on in my knuckle that needed 2 whole stitches, so it wouldn't have never gotten tetanus anyway. But from that moment on, I was sick as a dog, almost died, having her ended up needing a full hysterectomy, all kinds of blood. I mean, it was a rough ordeal. So she has severe autism, global development delay, epilepsy. I mean, they did a number on her. When you assault a brain while it's forming, I mean, I can only imagine what the difference in damage is versus the kids who have that flip switched at 18 months to 2 years old. I mean, I know there's got to be a difference.
Yeah, I mean, it's wrong, it's sad, and then we face so much adversity from, the other side. Yeah. And it's an uphill battle against, we're up against very huge corporations that do not have our best interests at heart, and we
are the David and Goliath. So I want to get into your story. We can talk more on the other stuff later, but I want to make sure we have enough time to talk about your personal family story, your experience, how you ended up waking up, and how you ended up pretty much, who you are and what you're doing now in the movement. How did you wake up? What brought you to to I guess the point of enlightenment to understand what's happening out there?
Yeah. I've always been kind of skeptical about everything, and I mean, even going through the military aspect of it. This is kind of growing up through my awakening, I guess. But when we were deployed, just getting all of these vaccines, and I did not want the anthrax series at all. We all knew it was never really tested, and we even called ourselves guinea pigs, but we did it anyway because we had to. And I noticed then my personal health started deteriorating, but I never really thought anything of it. You just they brush it off as something else, so on and so forth. And then just going through nursing school. Now this was all pharma paid. I mean, I got out of there and vaccines were God's gift to the world, you know, like, and I believed it, and I never really questioned it, just like, you know, a lot of other people hadn't, you know, prior to being really affected by it. So I gave them as a nurse, and I never even knew an insert existed. And we had our first son, and he was fine. He really didn't show any signs of injury, vaccine injury. Now I'm looking at it, and, you know, he's got a little eczema and, like, stuff of that I never noticed prior. Now our second one was his name is Drew. He's the one that I spoke of at the ACIP, who was injured with the MMR at 12 months. But prior to that, and this is what really bothers me, is you know, when babies are born, they're given the Hep B right away. And so you kind of lose that baseline of, you know, whether your child is, you know, healthy or not, you know. And he cried, like, from birth. I mean, he cried all the time, and we blamed it on colic and gas. That's what a lot of parents do. So I never added it up, and then you know, up to date, you know, I did the 2 months, the 4 months, the 6 months, but it was the one at 12 months, because I started spacing them out then. That did it, and it removed everything. It removed his speech. He stopped walking. He stopped eye contact. I mean, he screamed, and this is when he just really, really, really got bad. And this is when I started looking into it. And what I found just, I mean, I had to leave. I literally left mainstream nursing because of it. I left. I put in my resignation at my hospital, and I'm just like, I can't do this anymore. Like, it was just lies, you know, just so many lies that I just had to get out, and I just decided that this is going to be my new focus now, because I don't want it to happen to anyone else, you know. And if I have to face, you know, like, all this adversity from people and death threats, and you don't deserve to have your life, like, all this, you know, that's fine, as long as I can help, you know, even one child or one person, then so be it. And my mission is complete, you know. But I mean, this is not just vaccines. Like, I mean, just working in, you know, the hospital, I worked on several different floors. So I worked in a surgical pediatric unit, an ICU, IMC, medical unit. So I've seen it all, and I mean, we're just handing out prescription medications to these people, and they're staying sick, and that's the way.
Yep, it's a Band-Aid effect.
Yeah, they're just they're treating the symptoms. They're not treating the root cause. And I mean, I noticed this even before waking up, you know, to the vaccines. I noticed, I'm like, why are we giving these diabetic patients this crap food? You know, like, it makes this, I mean, just all of it. You know, it's the CDC, the FDA. I mean, the whole entire system. It needs you know, a revamp. It really does.
I never understood why hospital food is so disgusting and so bad for you, especially in the children's hospitals. Like, the food they would bring my daughter, we were in there for 7 weeks, and we were literally starving to death. I made my husband go out and bring in literally boxes of food from home because we were starving because the food was so bad. It was like, I'm not going to feed her this. Yeah. We're trying to make her well, not make her sicker here. This is garbage. It's all sugar.
Well, and then, you know, the medical kidnapping case out in Phoenix, Jonathan, right? Have you heard about that? Well, his mom was refusing that TPN line, and like that, what they give these kids is all sugar too. So I mean, it's total parental nutrition. So it's, you know, it's like Ensure through your veins. It's so bad. But I mean, it's just, they're just keeping people sick, and these vaccines are creating the illnesses. So it's a perfect storm, you know, for you know, to keep them in business. So I don't know. I guess that's when I woke up, it was just, it happened to my child, and that's ultimately what woke me up. But I never had anybody like you, posting on their Facebook, because everyone was too scared, and so was I, I mean, I didn't really start really talking about this until maybe like a year and a half, 2 years ago. I really opened up about it, because I just kept seeing it with my friends' children.
Yeah. It's hard, but then things like that, that's exactly what makes it easier and easier. When you start seeing friends posting about, I'm at the emergency room, my baby's so sick, fever of this, don't know what's happening, ear infections, this, and this, and your heart's going, you need to message them and tell them what's happening. And you do, and you realize I could have prevented this if I had just spoken up, publicly. And, I mean, that happened to me. That's where I'm speaking from, experience here. I started talking out when Lily got injured, but I didn't really know much then. So it was kind of just little things here and there. When I really started reaching out to people and getting louder was when I was, same thing, seeing it happening in my friends and their kids, and I was realizing you have the power to stop this, do something, Lynette.
Yeah. Yeah, and I questioned even going into nursing. I'm like, gosh, I just morally cannot continue. I felt bad. I'm like, I just wasted all this money on a degree that I can't even use. And then I'm like, actually, no, I can use it. So I just recently started the Nurses for Vaccine Safety Alliance Incorporated, and I am helping to get a lot of nurses all around the country involved in this, and just raise awareness, as, within the nursing community. Because I know there's a lot of nurses I worked with that actually questioned it, but just would never, speak up, because we are afraid to, get fired or, just losing our jobs, the income. So
that's like the older woman, Lori. You remember Lori? I think it's Simonini. I don't want to say it wrong, but that's how it looks like it's spelled. Yeah. The older woman who's a nurse who said she was so afraid to speak up until she recently retired because the conflict of interest. She thought she would lose her job if she said anything. I mean, that's why I was telling you, I find your comment to be very powerful and very brave, because you're still in the system and you're speaking out against it. So, kudos to you, girl.
Well, it's, when we had lunch with Dr. Offit, he mentioned, he's like, yeah, but I get all these death threats. I'm like, so do I. I'm like, what? I do too, but I don't have all the protection you do. I mean, this is both ways, Dr. Offit. This is not just about you. You can have your opinion and get death threats, but I'm going to have mine too, and I'm getting them from your side. So maybe, maybe there can be some sort of middle ground where we can just not have death threats on either of our sides, But it is crazy how people target anybody in the medical community. And I mean, look at all these, doctors and scientists just going, randomly missing. It is something that I worry about, with kids, especially having little kids at home, that, it's just one of those things you got to think about when you're, I guess, in this movement. There's some pretty hostile opinions and people out there.
Yeah, and
sure
it's both sides,
your fair share. Yeah.
Shoot, girl, I stay under attack. I mean, I was telling Anu earlier, it's insane. I get attacked for having Wakefield on. I got attacked for having Dell on. I got people attacking me for having Polly on. I got definitely be under attack now because I'm going to have Offit on. I mean, people just you can't win. It doesn't matter what you do. And what I've always told people, I don't give a crap what people say to me. I'm going to be me. My show is here for everyone. And no story is more important than anybody else's. Nobody's.
That's
Nobody's.
Right.
Because your story may be the one that helps 10, 15, who knows, 1,000 other people out there who went through the same thing you did go, oh, my God, that happened to my baby. Now I know. And they start digging.
Right.
You never know whose story it's going to be, who touches what person out there. Everybody's story is important. So I get so frustrated. And people, oh, how you going to have that person on your show? And it's people on our side about people on our side. Ooh, that person's controlled off. Ooh, this person this. I shared my platform with people on our side who have been nothing but kind to, who have then turned and talked crap about me. And you know what? I still don't do that. You know why?
No.
Don't let people change how you act or react. Seriously. We all represent each other. I love everybody in this movement. If you don't love me, that's okay. I still love you anyway. Like, that's just how I'm going to be. That's who I am. Read your Bible, folks.
Well, and I think that's so amazing that you handle it so well, and I wish that people could learn from you, because I think people just get really, really wrapped up in this, and they feel like they have to pick sides, and I don't see it that way. I don't want to pick sides. Like, I really just want to come up with some sort of solution, and I talked about this like not long after the ACIP, but I mean, we have to, if we're going to like get anything done, we might have to, work with our, with the opposition, or work with, like Dr. Offit. Like, I don't see anything wrong with having lunch with him at all. Like, and I will stand by that all day. And I think it helped him, like, really look into our eyes. We got to all tell our stories. There is, a lot of emotion involved, and he listened, and we listened to him,
Yeah.
But, not that I don't care for him whatsoever, but I do appreciate the fact that, he's willing to sit down and, let us be heard, even if maybe nothing does come out of it, but at least we were heard, and I think sometimes that's what people just
therapeutic.
need.
It's therapeutic,
yeah.
I think. Like that, I didn't realize how good it was going to feel, because I had been going, and I had never stood up and talked till June. And I wanted to scope it out, you know what I mean? I wanted to figure out what was going on.
Right.
I wanted to see how things worked. I wanted to be really prepared. And so, it was so therapeutic for me. I remember driving home, and it was like I felt like I had won the lottery. It was like I finally got to tell the people in the room who approved this shit what it did to my babies. You know what I mean? And it was like, thank you, Jesus. Like, I was very happy to have been able to do that. And I didn't plan nothing. I was scared to death. All I did, I prayed before I got up there, and it was like, please just help me say what I need to say that they need to hear to make them get it. And I talked. I didn't even shake. Like, I wasn't even scared. It was weird as hell, girl. And then I just sat down like, ooh, I almost knocked down the microphone stand. I was so freaked out. And Catherine's like, mic drop. I was just
oh, my
I was like, we'll do, we do it however we have to. But, I mean, it's scary, though. I mean, it really is. You're in a room of lions, and you're the lamb.
Well, I was like, I think Leanne was like, I was about ready to come up there and catch you. I was like shaking so bad. I'm like, and it's like lions staring at you. But you know what? When you're done, you're just like, oh my God, I feel so good right now. Like it is a huge weight off of your shoulders just to tell them that, just to tell them. Like, this is what you did, and now you guys got to go home to sleep.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that does make a difference. You know that they don't forget that. You know that they that affects them somehow. You know that. I know that. They're human beings. They are not robots at the end of the day.
Yeah. There was a couple that woke up, I think. I mean, the way that they were looking at everyone telling their story, they had those eyes like, oh my gosh, what am I doing?
Yep.
Yep.
And it had more and more every time. And when everybody left for lunch, I missed the beginning because I was behind putting JB's book out for everybody. And I noticed when we came back, though, that there were tons of them looking at it. And, like, the Secretary of Defense dude, like, tons of them were, like, reading the back, thumbing through the book. And then I was telling JB the best part is when you go back and they have the live version of where you can go back and watch ACIP or whatever. I mean, but you know what I'm talking about, the after thing where they post it. It's going to be funny because any of the portion from lunch on the first day, his book's all over the tables.
Yeah.
It's all over the tables everywhere.
Funny.
So, I mean, I thought that was kind of funny because people around the globe are watching this for their advice, and you can see Davey's book all over.
Yeah.
So,
that's funny.
Woo, plan works.
Zoom in on that. Hey,
right, I know. I saw one of them put a paper bag over it. Yeah, I saw one of them put a paper bag over it. Yep. Yep. I was laughing because right before they clicked their microphone to speak, they put a little paper bag over it because it was both his and his partners, I guess, whoever was sitting next to him's book were both sitting there next to each other, and he set a paper bag over it. But there were several of them who spoke, and they were sitting there talking, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, ooh, the book's right in front of you right now. Woo, woo. So,
wow.
You know.
That's awesome. I didn't even know you did that.
Yes, I took a whole case. You don't even understand. Look, Erin, this is what's so crazy about the CDC, girl.
You did that.
Look, we're walking up to the CDC, right, and I've got this whole case of books, and it's in a cart. Like I had a little crappy metal rolling cart that we put this case of books in. It's me, Denise, and Lorelei. And I think Susie and Jacqueline had already walked up ahead of us or whatever. And so I think they were still with us for a minute. We took a picture, and then security starts coming after us. So Susie and them kind of already went in, and then it was just me, Lorelei, and Denise. Well, that's already, it looks like all the hoodlums are left outside, And so here comes security, right? And so I'm like, oh, great, this isn't going to be good. Kids, I've already, it's already been through security here. And so it's so funny, though, because they were more worried about the picture we had taken and was wanting to see if the sign or the building was behind us in it than they were that we had a box that had nothing on it, just a plain, big, giant box in a cart. Never asked me, what's the box? What's in the box? What's the box for? Nothing. And I just found that to be so weird that they were worried. Yes, they were worried about a picture. But then the funny part was when I got the box into security and I was like trying to lift it up and get it up on the thing to go through the metal detector thing, the dude was cracking up. He was like, "You bring some information?" And I was like, "Yes, sir." And and then I go through the security thing, the little metal detector, and the other guy's like, "Get on with your resistance, bad self." I was like, "All right, buddy," and it was just so funny to me because it's just so great to at least have the security people. If some crap hits the fan, they might be on our side.
No, I know. I actually think they are. They all are. They all seem like. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure they're not treated very well by this panel because they sure didn't. They were all so snooty and uppity. Most of them. I shouldn't say all of them, but the majority of them were. So I can't imagine they're the most friendly people to the public. I remember learning in nursing school that I always treat the janitor and know the janitor's name just like the CEO's name. Treat everyone the same with kindness, regardless, So I think the ACIP panel is a different breed, but there's help. They can be helped.
It's
some of them.
Yeah, it's crazy though. I mean, I wasn't expecting it to be that way. I guess the first time I went, I was kind of floored. I don't know. It felt really weird to be there. Really surreal. But, the people in the room still, like I say, they felt human. At first, you really do expect after, I don't know, this is what I want to say to our movement, though, especially newbies. I think in our movement we kind of get in a way that we do some stuff that we shouldn't. And it's almost a little bit of the same mind conditioning kind of thing where, I swear, newbies are almost brain taught to hate the other side. And I'm sorry, but that's not helping. We have got to actually try to reach the other side, which means you can't be hating on them. You're going to have to eventually start talking to them, or we don't get anywhere. We don't. That's just the truth of it. If we can't wake up anybody else, then we're screwed. We need the big people. We need the important people. We need to be, I don't know. We need to be using our voice to do a lot more. And we need to be reaching out to these people that we see who are celebrities and who are popular and who have more of a voice, who are awake and may be afraid to say more because they don't realize how much backup they have. We have Snoop Dogg. We have Rob Schneider. We have, oh, my God, there are so many bands. There are so many bands. There's so many people.
Snoop Dogg to the ACIP. That would be great.
He's shizzle my nizzle. This shit is off the hizzle.
I just want to listen to his speech.
No, for real. He'd be high as a kite. I'd be like, we're hanging with him. We're going with Snoop before and after. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. No, I've been trying to reach out to Snoop Dogg, and when I went to NOI rally at CDC, I guess about a year or two ago, and Snoop Dogg actually tweeted the picture of our group out there at the CDC and gave us props. So I thought that was kind of cool.
I didn't even see that.
Yeah, I don't remember where it's at. I'll have to. Yeah, it's pretty neat though. There was a bunch of us out there, and he ended up tweeting it and thanking us for being out there at the CDC. So yeah, I thought that was pretty neat, and it's nice to know he's watching our activism and knows what we're up to. That's why I say he'd be someone to reach to. And I've told you, and I think some other people have heard, I have big plans, and I really want us to do something huge. I want to repeat a thing from history, but I want to, finally repeat something from history that's good, not bad. And he would be someone to get involved. Back in the day, when they had the Civil Rights March, they had about 20 to 30 celebrities involved before they even hit, while they were in the damn concepts, because they knew they needed that kind of power to make that happen. And getting people involved to raise money in their own coalitions and organizations to fund buses to get people there. So it's not everybody drive your own car. So it's not too many people on the street. So it's not costing everybody so much money. There are so many ways we could do things to bring attention. If you bring 250,000 people or more to Washington, President Trump's going to have to go, holy shit, I better go ahead and do something about this and quit talking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No,
that's what Kennedy had to do. Kennedy said, with their march, I have to join them because if I don't, then I'm going against them. That's a lot of people. I'm going to have to get out there and join them and make sure it stays peaceful and stays what it needs to be. And then within a year, they have their treaty signed. They have whatever they needed signed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, it's doable. What's sad is that, everybody that's, waking up is the majority of us, have, children that were injured or, know someone that was injured. And, I think ultimately we just are trying to prevent this. We're really honestly just wanting these parents just to research. And once they do that, they'll never look back. Once you just cannot unknow it. It's going to be with you forever. And if you look away from it, that's.
And it's hard. People should have more respect for people out here like us doing this because we live this. There's not a moment of my day that I'm not thinking about this. It's just the way it is. Once you know this stuff, even I'm playing with my kids. I'm doing whatever. My brain's still doing 15 things on this topic. You know what I'm saying, though? You live, you eat, you sleep, you breathe this. It is the way it is. Your life completely changes, and people really don't realize the people who are really out here getting in the trenches, we need your support. We really do. We need your support. We need your love. We need you to be – and people bashing us saying, how are they getting funded to do this anyway? Who's paying for these trips? And we were called a lot of things for having that lunch with Offit. That's right. Me too. I barely had money for food when I got home. I had to hustle my products to make rent. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We do what we have to do to make this shit happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're not. I will say, I will vouch for myself that everything came out of my pocket to be there because I cared about being there. And it matters that much. In my next trip, I'm going to pay for it. The next one, and the next one, and the next one. And I don't care how many trips I have to take, but I do feel like we're gaining some momentum.
And we are for sure. I agree, and I think that was shocking for them. Everybody was so potent because when I went, when the Highwire team was coming, they when they talked, of course they give the science, and everybody else who was speaking, everybody does so amazing, and they know all the facts and stuff. And so, but these people hear that all day long. You know what I'm saying? You're in the room, and so I could see their disconnect. They were playing on their phones. I was watching the whole time. And this was before any of y'all came, and it was okay, they're not listening to the science on our side for sure. Their heads were down. Dude, when I got up there and started talking, you could tell they've never had that before. They have not had a mom on our side before not like that. Because I had heard all these other mothers in the past getting up there. My son died because of meningitis, and they were preaching the meningitis vaccine. Everything was always on their side, college kids, these things. So when I got up there and talked, it was crazy to watch. You see the woman in the background close her phone, put it up. The Merc guy put his phone down, start staring at me. They were all like, what the? It was a trip. They didn't know what to expect. And then some of them clapped when I was done on their side. And while I was talking, they were motioning me to continue, keep going, keep going. So it was a weird thing in that room, you know. And I remember, it was weird. Catherine messaged me, and she's like, oh, my God, you just brought the roof down. I'm like, oh, my God. And it was like, I don't even know what just happened. And so, you know, it was like I wasn't sure. I thought I was going to mess it up for everybody. So I'm just glad that I had the faith in myself to get up there and the faith in God to guide me, because so many people reached out and said I would have felt like, you know, I'm too this or I'm too that or I look too strange and I'd mess it up for everyone. And you gave me the courage to speak out more, to do lives, to do whatever. So that was an amazing thing that came from that I was just so happy about, that, you know, I was scared to death, but I put myself out there and it helped other people be courageous enough to do the same. So, you know, that was definitely
you inspired me, you know, like, I mean, and I'm sure that, I mean, it probably inspired you to even do more, you know, just like, it's like, wow, like, I mean, you are a very powerful voice in this movement, like very powerful. And I mean,
it's really weird, because I'm just this mother from Alabama, and all I've done is just keep going and keep going and keep plugging away at this. And it's crazy because, I mean, I'm trying so hard with my radio show to do one thing, and then I've got my business where I'm trying so hard to help people whose kids are already injured. You know, I mean, I started making stuff for my kids, and you see the need. And I was raised to see a need, you feel a need. And so when I started seeing people asking so much, like, do you know where I can get an easy detox? I don't have time to buy 15 ingredients. I don't have the money to do all this. I don't know the right ratios. I don't know this. It was like, okay, so what I'm doing for my kids, I can just do in I had a soap shop, you know. Like, I could just do in my soap shop. I pulled out of the booths I was in. I took everything home. I quit doing anything on a big level and just focused on our movement. And I'm so glad I did, because I can't tell you how many people have reached out to me and said, my kid sat quiet for their first haircut. I've never seen this before after their detox. Or my kid started saying words or whatever. And that's how my daughter was. I started doing my detox with her, and she started saying mama and dada. And this is what's crazy, girl. A year ago, she got diagnosed with severe autism, global developmental delay, epilepsy, all these things, and they said she'll always be in diapers. She'll probably never speak. She'll never be able to do anything normal. And this kid, she sits here and she can count 1 to 20. I mean, she'll just sit there and count. Like, she knows 1 to 20 perfectly. She knows her ABCs. She knows tons of different, like, nursery rhyme songs. She's got a photographic memory. If she sees a TV show and you mute the show, she'll say everything that's supposed to be said. It's in her own little language. You know, not every word you understand, but you understand enough to know she's saying the show.
Yeah.
So these, I don't think they really knew what they were talking about.
Well, we are healing our kids without the pharmaceuticals that they say that we need. I mean, if that isn't enough, because I mean, none of my family's on any pharmaceutical meds, and we never will be unless there's a dire need for some antibiotic. But that's the last resort. Like, we do not need a pharmaceutical medication. We have everything at our fingertips that nature gave us. Yeah. And it's crazy to even say that, because it goes against every single thing I was ever taught. Like, everything. Yeah. You know. Yeah,
this is coming from a nurse, y'all. Listen up.
This is real life. Like, they I mean, I had several, you know, courses on the pharmaceutical drugs over and over and over, and they instill this in our heads that this patient has this, they're going to need this, they're going to have to be on it for life. Never did they ever teach us any natural remedies whatsoever in nursing school. Nothing. I knew nothing about it. Everything I know is done through research on my own. And I mean, that's so telling. And in my situation with Drew, he didn't say his first words until he said his first words, and then he stopped at 12 months, and then he didn't start talking again until almost 4.5 years old. So he'll be 6 actually in another 10, 11 days. So he's been only talking for a year and a half, a little over a year and a half, and he is absolutely brilliant. I mean, he is so brilliantly smart, and it's all done without pharmaceuticals. You know?
Thank you. Mine too. Listening to Exley, Fiji Waters, silicone drops. He sent me a link to some silicone drops we got for Jazzy, D3, you know, vitamin C, vitamin A, coconut. Like, we do so many things for her, and the difference in her is insane. Adding the magnesium helps her tummy, and, you know, just so many things we do to try to alleviate the pain while still trying to, you know, get further. And it's so interesting to see. I mean, we've had her potty several times on the potty. They told me she'd never be out of diaper. She'd never even understand how to do that. She's only 3 years old, just barely turned 3, and I've already gotten her to use the potty a few times. Like, parents, if you've had your child recently diagnosed, don't be discouraged. Please don't be discouraged. Don't let them make you think that this is the end of it. They made my daughter sound like the worst case they had ever seen. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
They made her sound so horrible. I've got 30-something pages worth of this review of my child that makes her sound like the most special needs kid you've ever seen, and they have no clue. I mean, I sent videos of her to the woman who diagnosed her, and she was like, oh, my goodness, I can't believe I'm saying this, but your daughter may lose her diagnosis by the age of 5. And I said, how can a child lose their diagnosis if this is genetic? And I've already gotten her to watch Vax. I've already gotten her to look up Dr. Suzanne and Dr. Bergman and all these people, and she's seeing it. And she's the head of the head psychiatrist of the diagnostic place at this local place that diagnoses here. And so, the more we show them that their points don't make sense, the more we wake them up. I mean, I'm sitting in the room with this woman while she's talking to me about my child, and she's like, well, you know more about this than I do, and you know more about that than I do, and you tell me. And that's how you want it to be. You want them to feel like, holy crap, okay, you could educate me. I mean, our GP said, I feel like I just stepped in front of a fire hydrant the day I met you because you had so much coming out of you information-wise. But he's 64. He said, I saw exactly what you're telling me, so I know what you're telling me is true.
Well, and I wish more would even, just take a look at it. Like I had a girl I graduated with, she's a pediatrician, come at me like, that's false information and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, why? No, it's not. It's really not false. Actually, I lived it. It's actually real. This is real. And actually, I healed my kid with no pharmaceuticals, and that's real too. So I just, they'll dismiss moms because they don't have education. But if you have an education, then they dismiss that anyway, and you're just a quack. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter what kind of education you have, because these people are just so, I don't know, they're just so brainwashed into thinking that, these white coats are, they know everything, and that's just not the case. It's just not.
Yes, it's so hard. When you're trying to expect it to your average person, too, I know I was trying to explain a lot of this to my son's father, and he kept saying, well, I'm so happy to see you so passionate about this, and oh, my goodness, you know so much about this, but I'm sure my doctor knows more than you've learned from Google. And I'm like, honey, I didn't learn all this from Google. I'm friends with most of these doctors, these scientists. I talk to these people. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, I mean, truly, though, that's the difference in our side to their side. You can call these people. You can talk to these doctors. You can talk to these scientists, and they will talk to you, and they will help you understand the science. I've had so many conversations with James Lyons Fowler about things I didn't understand. I mean, I'm just saying, I mean, seriously, though, these people are here because they care, and they have a very busy life, a very busy schedule, and they make time for all of us parents. Now, what about the other side? How many of those people are making time for you? My doctor personally calls me after blood work, calls me to tell me news about things, calls me to let me know about things. He does not have a secretary do the job. My doctor does his own blood draws. He's 64. He says this is the way it's supposed to be. He said most doctors these days couldn't even do a blood draw. They don't have to. They don't even have to know how.
No, they don't. And that's true. They don't know how to do IVs either. This is basic stuff.
Okay, I got to ask you this off topic as hell, but you're a nurse, so I have to ask you this, Erin. You've seen me. We've met in person. I used to be covered in piercings, too, so I need to know this. Are most people who look like me deathly afraid of needles? Because I cry and I make them use a butterfly needle, and they look at me like I'm insane.
Yeah, I don't know. I've had a few patients that have had tattoos, but they're afraid of needles, and I think it's more. Is it the blood that you're more afraid of than the actual poke?
Man, I don't know. It's like mind tripping for me. I know when I had Jasmine and they were giving me blood afterwards, I had to get like 10 units, and I'm serious. I was sitting there and I had like when I first came to after my hysterectomy, I had 4 IVs going. I'm not shitting you. I had 1 in each hand and 1 in each foot. I've never had anything like this going, and they all had blood. My husband was like, what the hell? And they were like, look, like she lost way too much. I think they said they gave me 4 different times they brought me back.
Oh, my gosh.
Everybody there was over 30 people in that room from what I could gather, because afterwards I was in the hospital for almost a month, and they all kept coming in my room saying, oh my God, it's just good to see you alive. It's good to see you with color. I can't believe you made it. Like, if it wasn't for your doctor, you would not be here, because she did not give up. And I'm lucky, because any other doctor who didn't personally know me probably would have, just looking at me. And, I mean, just saying, it's the truth of it. They don't see my life as valuable. I hate to say it, but it's just the way some of them are. But she's known me for years. She did a leap to get rid of cancer cells for me. She's done, she had to do a lot of stuff, but she was the first one to actually help me out with my heart stuff, because I couldn't even have my surgery. My heart was so bad. And so, it was just a lot of things that, she was there for me for. So I guess over, the years I had seen her, she got to know me so well. They said they had to tell her to get herself together because she was crying and was having a hard time functioning to actually help me. And so, it was a trip. Yeah, it was a rough experience. Yeah. And I just gave her JB's book and the HPV on Trial book a couple weeks ago, and she's reading them both, and she is, like, freaking out. So,
that's excellent.
One person at a time, y'all. I mean, one person at a time. If that's what it takes, we're getting there. And, I mean, she respects me because she told me, she said, you have completely 180'd yourself since the last time I saw you. You're not the same person. What happened to you? And it was the perfect intro to what happened, because she saw what happened to Lily when I was pregnant with Jasmine. So it was like, well, you remember that? And I told her, you remember that vaccine they gave me when I was pregnant? Because she was pissed about it. And I don't even know why she was pissed. I had got, when I came in to tell her what had happened and that they gave me the vaccine, she was like, well, they shouldn't have gave it to you for that. And she seemed angry about it. So I told her, well, this is what came because of that. And she was like, oh, my goodness. And she was the one who told me. She kind of floored me, because she said, I don't think your daughter's severely autistic, Lynette. She said, I think your daughter is a savant. She's like, I'm not trying to freak you out or anything, but you may want to go have her tested, because I understand a lot of the stuff she's saying today, and she's very smart. And I was like, yeah, I mean, we're going to take this a day at a time, and eventually we'll get wherever we're going. I mean, we do so much with her, it's not funny. And same with her sister, Lily. Lily is 4 years old, and I don't know if everybody sees her art that I post and things like that, but, I mean, she's like a 15-year-old in a 4-year-old's body. She has so much concept, and she's so smart. It's like, holy smokes, kid. I mean, it's very mind-blowing how much they grasp and.
Yeah, it's funny you say savant, because that's what we called Drew. That's our middle one. And it's weird because he's really smart too. And you know what I think is that they're listening, even though they're not talking as much, and they act like they don't hear you, or I mean, Drew was like a ghost in our house. Like he was there, but he would not function with anyone. He didn't like to be touched. He didn't, but I think they're listening, and I think they're just taking in all the information. And when they finally, I don't know, they're growing. As they grow, they're detoxing. With all the from the chemicals too. As long as it's, it's
not being reintroduced.
It's wishful thinking. Yeah, that like you're like, please, dear God, just talk.
Yes.
But it sounds very similar to Drew. So I hope that in another year she's reading you stories too.
I hope so. I'm telling you, like she blows my mind, and she knows so much, and she understands. I mean, I really agree with that. Like, I think they really are. They're completely absorbing us. They're just not able to put as much back out. And, my son, James Douglas, I'm still not sure if he didn't. I mean, I don't talk about this a whole lot because I don't want to throw him under a bus or make him feel awkward. He's 16 years old. But, I think he might have had a vaccine injury as a child, and I just didn't understand it back then because I was young. But, I mean, he didn't talk till 4 years old. They kept telling me he needed speech classes, he needed this and that, and I'm like, but he used to talk as a baby, and he hit his head coming down a slide. It was, and this is the saddest part, it was 2 days after his vaccines. And when you go back and look at his medical record, we just found all three of my older kids' vaccination records the other day going through some boxes, so that kind of tripped me out too. But looking back at the dates he was in the hospital because he hit his head on the slide to his vaccines were 2 days prior to that. James didn't say another word. That was like 18 months old. James didn't say another word until he was 4 years old. He started banging his head, dragging his head across the floor, tiptoeing everywhere he went, eating dog food. He eats paper to this day.
Yeah.
And so I had no idea that this even existed until just a few years ago. And so my son He actually ended up, I think he came out more out of it. Like right now he is in gifted and talented classes. He can create video games and stuff. Like his mind is so complex the way it works. Now on a regular social level, he's still very awkward. He's very shy. He hangs on me. He like wants to hold my hand if we're in the grocery store. He wants to be like cuddled up to me. I mean, he's a 16-year-old boy. So, you know, I mean, he's just a little bit more awkward than some. But, I mean, he is the most loving, sweetest person you will ever meet. No drops of aggression. He's just, you know, and I mean, I think about it, and I'm thinking his dad's a very strict military man. His dad was Marine Corps. We were on Camp Pendleton base for years and years and years, and his dad is you know, you don't close the shower curtain, you write pages. You don't close your closet door, you write pages. Your shoes and your clothes aren't lined up, you write pages. Like, he's very strict with my son. And so, you know, so my son, I think, almost out of the strictness has come out of a lot of it because he really didn't, I mean, it's almost like a choice wasn't there for him. His dad never understood what he's going through. And here's what's trippy. His cousins also have autism, and his aunt has 2 different autoimmune disorders. You know, I mean, it's like it's all over the place, and people aren't really, like his grandmother woke up to this, and she's a nurse of, I think, 40-something years now. She's in Texas, and she woke up to all this. And she commends me. She talks to me every year, you know, about this kind of stuff. And we get together, and she's like, it's so funny. It's with my ex-mother-in-law, and she's like, I'm so proud of what you're doing, and I can't believe you know these people. And it's, you know, it's just kind of funny because, you know what I mean? I mean, this is like my ex-mother-in-law. And, of course, you know, back in the day, we hated each other. Yeah. So it's so funny to be at this point now. But, I mean, her poor grandson, Caden, I mean, he was very severe, and they've done so much stuff naturally, and you can barely tell he ever had a diagnosis of autism at this point, other than maybe a few of like the real fast arm movements and stuff of that nature. So it's possible, you know. I mean, people are recovering their children every day. I want to learn more about biomedical. I don't know enough about it yet to understand it or trust it, so I'd love to learn more about that. If anybody would love to send me information, I'd love to learn more because I just want to see what else there is out there. You know, we brought Jasmine so far just on my own. Between me and her and our chiropractor, you know, this is how far we've come. So it's just amazing that you can, you know, you don't need them, and parents need to understand that. When they tell you you're going to have to take your kid to speech therapy, all these different letters of different classes and all this different stuff, I don't support that. I mean, this is just me personally. No. I feel like that is just giving them, they've caused this, and now I'm paying them for doing it. I don't think so. I am smart enough to figure out how to help her because I know her better than anybody. You know what I mean? I know when she's ready to learn. When I saw how they treated her just during her evaluation, Erin, this child wasn't the same for 2 weeks after that 5-hour, you know, review or evaluation or whatever. She wasn't the same for over 2 weeks.
Well, it's an interrogation of a child.
It is. Everything that they gave her, they took away from her.
Exactly.
They gave her this Jack in the Box, and I've never seen her so engaged with something, and then they took it away. And the way she responded, they're making their little notes and all this bullshit, and this poor child looked traumatized. I mean, she was so upset. And then they would make like, oh, she won't pretend play. She won't this. She won't that. She's, you know, and it's so crazy to me because I'm sitting here last night making videos of her, and she's sitting here, 1, 2, 3, yay! And then she stops and picks up 2 Smurfs and makes them talk in her little language for a while, and then she's 4, 5, 6. You know, I mean, she's doing her thing. And, I mean, it's like, you know, it's so frustrating because I wish that more of them understood that you need to give parents more hope than that. Like, I mean, I was sitting there at their table while they're telling me all this stuff about my own child, and my tears just pouring down my face. And it's like, you gave me no hope. You know what I'm saying? They gave me no hope. It's pretty much like Marianne Puckett says, take your child home and love them. That's how they make you feel. It's like you might as well just take them home and love them because that's all they're ever going to do.
You know, and this is a really important topic because I think parents feel, especially new parents, you know, they are trusting in the, you know, medical profession. Like they're completely like, tell me what's wrong with my child, and they will take it, and they will, you know, like Drew, I had him in the same speech therapy classes. I had him going through all these tests. I had him going through sleep studies. I mean, all this stuff, and I didn't know, and I believed them, and they're telling me how to raise my son. Oh, you have to do this. You have to do this. You have to do this. And, you know, I listened to it, and I regret it because I could have probably helped him a lot sooner than I did. But, like, just to go in armed with questions as a parent is so important. Like doing your research, and then if these doctors want to disagree, then you got to find a new one. You know, I don't bring my
and don't accept the terms idiopathic
pediatrician.
or coincidence. Don't accept the term idiopathic or coincidence. It's all bullshit.
Well, I was
that's all bullshit.
I probably blamed it on him falling. They
did. When he fell, he hit the back. Okay, here's what happened. He had on some of those slick, like, gym kind of pants. And it was one of those slides. You know how at the park you have the tall slide and the short slide? Well, he went up the big slide. And he came down it in those pants so fast that he came off the end of it, and he hit the back of his head on the slide, and his nose started bleeding. So I start panic mode. Take him straight to the hospital, and they did the CT. They did all this kind of stuff. They said there was nothing wrong with him. He was fine. It was just a blood vessel that had bursted in his nose or whatever from the pressure from him hitting his head. No big deal.
Right.
And I mean, he was starting to change before that even. We went to the park because he seemed upset. So that was the other thing that I told my ex that really hit me was I just wasn't paying attention to it either. You know, like I just thought, okay, let's take him to the park. He seems like he's having a down day. But I didn't even think about the fact that he had been vaccinated 2 days prior. And, you know, the only way I even know is looking. Yeah. The only way I even know is by looking back at the records. And, I mean, it's just one of those things, and you think about it, and it's like, you know, I don't know. I know if he was probably tested right now, you know, maybe he would either be considered no title or even Asperger's, maybe high functioning, because he still has some things about him that you can tell.
I'm playing in here.
Okay. He still has some things about him that you can tell are different, that are not, you know, your average 16-year-old boy. But at the same time, he's come so far that, I mean, and he can function in society completely normally. He's scared to death of when he has to go out on his own, when he has to get a job, because he has to be micromanaged. Like he's like, you know, my son will say, "Do you want a cup of coffee?" And I'll say, "Sure, son." And then, you know, you wait a minute and he'll come back. How do you want that in a cup? Like it's, you know, you have to give him every, like you'll have to say, if you say wash the dishes, he'll only wash plates. You have to say, I mean, I'm serious though, like that's the kind of things, like his dad gets really frustrated by those kind of things. And so you have to really be specific with him and give him full instructions for him to understand. So that's one of the things I told him, you know, we have to really work on is those kind of life skills, because in a job, a boss is only going to tell you how to do something so many times before they expect you to understand how to do it by yourself. So, you know, it's scary, but I mean, I think that if he could do something computer-wise or something like that for his life, for his job, this boy will soar. So, you know, I need to get him on making us an awake book where we have a place where we can't be shut down, we can't be censored, and we can all just be where we have a place for all of us. Me and Kat were talking about that. I was like, we need to make a wake book, man. Screw Facebook.
We do need a platform like that. I mean, the way that we're being censored is incredible to me. I mean, I've never experienced something like that in my life, and it is
I get censored every week, Erin. The show,
it is.
When I first started this radio show, I was allowed to invite 500 people, and I was allowed to share it in over 100 groups or more. Now I'm allowed to invite sometimes around 30 to 50, and I'm only allowed to share it to around 10 to 20 groups before they start making me put in a code every time I want to share it, and then they'll block me from sharing for a few days every time. And it's, you know, why in the world would you have a platform that allows you to create an event, and then when you invite people to that event, you're in trouble? Like, it just, you know, I doubt that that's like that. And anybody else out there, like, unless they're doing something like we're doing, I think that that's censorship. I don't think that that's just coincidental that, you know, mine are being censored, but then you see a lot of these other events with thousands of people invited and going, and I can't barely invite 50.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, Facebook is funded by pharmaceutical companies, you know, so, I mean, there's just no way around it unless, you know, we start our own platform, which is all right, but at the same time, like I don't want to talk to, I want to reach people that aren't awake yet, and that's really hard to do, you know, when you're not intermingled with, you know, the crowd that, you know, hasn't quite woke up yet. So it's kind of a catch-22, because you want to intermingle with them, but at the same time you want to, you know, not be shut down all the time. But I think there's enough of us where we're loud enough. Like, you can't shut everybody down. So.
You know, you were talking about mothers a little bit ago, and I just wanted to throw this out there for anybody listening. And we get a lot of new listeners each week. I get messages from them, so I know we get a lot of new people because I'm the first show of the week on Mondays. So mothers out there, people out there considering procreating, please do me the favor, check out Adam Ringham and Chris Kirchhoff's book. This has got a lot of amazing information in it. So you're going to have a baby. You can find it on Amazon. And I just wanted to throw that out there for them because I think that that's a good one for you to check out if you are considering having children right now or your friends are or anybody like that. It's a great gift for your friends, newlyweds, things like that. It's a great gift for people like that. So make sure that you guys are checking that out because I just feel like you really need to have the full information if you're going to be making these decisions, and your doctors are not going to be giving that to you. And these guys have actually laid out a lot of stuff in there, and there are so many other books. If you need any recommendations, please message me. You can find me on Facebook and all over the place. Yeah, I mean, there's just so many people putting it out there that there's no excuse for ignorance other than you haven't heard it yet, and that's where we come in, and we're making sure that hopefully there's nobody left by the time we're done who hasn't heard it yet and been able to at least make that decision.
Even if they don't want to hear it, they're going to hear it.
That's right.
And if you have
I told Anu this. I feel like I'm trying to convert people to Christianity in this movement. Like sometimes I feel like I'm really trying to convert people to Christianity. You know, it's like the same kind of feeling, though. It's like you have to read the Bible to understand what I'm saying, and then you can be saved. You know, it's like you have to read this research to understand what I'm saying, and then you're awake and you can help us out. High five. Let's do this thing. Oh, goodness.
Then come walk with us. We need more warriors.
Mm-hmm.
We need to.
We had a caller
save the babies.
Yeah, we had a caller, but I tried to click over and I couldn't hear them, and they dropped off. So whoever you were, 785 area code, feel free to call back in, and I'll try to get you on. If I'll click back over and try to see who you are and get you on if I can. I just when I clicked back over to you, I could not hear you, and then you dropped out. So if you're listening, call back in. I've got the dashboard open. I clicked over for a minute and was trying to see who they were, but they weren't responding, and then they fell out of the dashboard. So I don't know if they left or if they got dropped. We get a lot of Freedomizer's kind of touchy, and it drops some calls, and we've had some craziness call in before. We had the FBI call in before. I've had some crazy shows. Oh yeah, when I had Brian Hooker on, we had the CDC. CDC was sitting in my dashboard. 2 different 404 CDC numbers were sitting in the dashboard while I was on with Brian Hooker. And that was a fun interview. Me and him, that was such a fun interview. I'm telling you, the ones I get the most nervous about, I swear, are my best shows. Like I thought, we had so much chemistry. We had a good time. Me and Brett Wilcox, like those shows, I'm always so nervous, like I'm not going to be able to keep up. And then there's so much fun. So, I don't know. I think I have a different way of approaching things than a lot of people, and I try to. Yes, this is serious, and yes, this is hard, but if you don't smile and you don't try to enlighten people and you don't try to be a light and be a happy force instead of something negative, then it really is a lot harder to make it through this. I mean, it's already, if you don't smile, you cry. That's how I feel about it. So I try to make sure at least that by the end of my show, somebody has had a smile on their face.
I'll tell you something.
Yeah.
What is it? Sorry.
I absolutely.
Diapers or jazz?
I noticed that when I first met you, and it was really nice because, when I stopped over at your guys' Airbnb, and it was just nice to, we all shared our stories and got to, meet face-to-face and, just, be able, it's just that camaraderie that is so amazing within, our movement that, it's really inspiring, and, you inspired me, immediately. So you have an aura about you.
Thank you. Well, I'm glad that we all have our own brand of activism, you know. Well, thank you. Yeah. My whole life has kind of been that way. I don't know what it is. I grew up in a really crazy environment. I grew up in a group home from 4 to 18, and for a long time I kind of lived the depressed life, and I didn't want to be. And then at some point when I got a little bit older, I just decided that, you know what? My mom doesn't deserve all this I'm giving her inside of me, and, I'm going to go and I'm going to be happy, and I'm going to, you know what I mean? It was just time for something different, and I started deciding to live my life trying to make other people smile and laugh. And growing up in the children's home, that's pretty fun to do because there's 40 to 60 kids. And so when you're making people laugh, you got a whole audience. And so I was kind of the screwball of the group, and and kind of the mess up, because if something bad happened, they'd always call it pulling a Lynette. So I knew I was the troublemaker of the group too. But I mean, I was there from 4 to 18. You know, a lot of those kids were only there for like 2 years. And so, you know, I had to watch a lot of them come and go back to their families, and then mine just never came back. So it was a rough way to grow up, and it was a rough way to still have trust in people and still put love in people, really, because a lot of the people who even came through there to be a help, quote unquote, were bad people. But at some point, you have to realize that if you close yourself off to encounters and to life and to new experiences, you've closed yourself off to life. You know, I mean, I don't know. I feel like not everybody's going to be bad, and y'all have proven that to me. Every time I go out and I do activism and I meet more and more of our people, we are very different people, you and I. We look different. We have very different lives. But you know what? You're my sister, and I love you. Yeah. And I'm so happy that all of us who are so different can pull together and be one united group. I mean, we were a force. We even pissed off people on our own side. We were so damn good.
I mean, that is true. I mean, I don't know if it was. I was actually quite surprised after returning home how much, you know, we got a lot of hate. But but you know what? For all the hate we got 10 times that in love. Right? Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I was quite shooken up. You know, after returning home, it was really difficult. I don't even know if I slept like the first couple nights because like it's on your mind. You know, you're like, wow, like that was a really incredible journey. And then you got back and you are, you know, being insulted by your own. Like I was like, oh my gosh, like it was like the Vietnam vets coming home. You know, like. I kind of got like a taste of that, like, geez, like, all right. Yeah. It's
hard to put yourself out there when that's what's happening, but that's why for me it's like I just ignore that negativity. I didn't respond. Like even when we did like around the table kind of talking at the house, I didn't really say much because you feed that, you respond to that, you are in some way still fueling that fire. And so for me, it was like, you know what, I'm sticking with the good parts that happen. I'm sharing those, and hopefully people will understand. And, I even made the picture of us with Offutt and put the Bible verse on the front of it, you know, about loving your enemies and being kind to them and blessing them and things like that, because that's how I try to live my life. You know, people need to really understand that. Like, I'm not out here like, ooh, let me be best friends with Paul Offutt. That is not my goal here, okay? I wish that it could be like Cindy Lou Who and the Grinch and we could grow his heart and we could change his mind. I don't know if that's possible. I have hope, but I don't know.
That's a good analogy.
The most the most we can do is, you know, keep on trying to bridge the gap and keep on trying to put it in his face to the point maybe one day he goes, holy shit, there are so many people saying this to me, or holy shit, why in the heck would they keep on and keep he told me in an email, you don't get on my nerves because you're not rude to me, because you'll say things to me that I completely disagree with, but you do it in a nice way. I can handle that. I can talk to somebody like that. And so, I wish more people could do that, because that's why I say people quit sending me hate mail. Quit putting hateful stuff on there. I've asked people to be respectful. If you don't, they'll take your shit down. Sorry to be rude, but this is what I agreed to in order to make this happen. And I don't like to be someone who goes against my word. So it has to be kept respectful and drama-free. And my show has always been that way. It's been 2 years. I had Larry Cook on. Tons of people tried to put a halt to that show. It went on. It was a great show. Tons of people tried to put a halt to my show with Josh Coleman, with Joseph Sikora. I don't care who they are, even if they like me anymore. I don't care about any of that. Everybody has a story. Right. They deserve a chance to tell it, and I don't mind sharing my platform to do so. You know what I mean?
No, I commend it. I'm excited to listen to what Dr. Offutt's going to say on your show. When I heard that, I'm like, hell yeah, all right. I'm like, he likes Lynette. He does like you.
I don't know why. I think it was, I don't know, like the first time I saw him, we kind of just were giving each other this weird face. And I think for him at first, I took a picture of him, and he was just smiling at me all weird. And I was thinking he was thinking, what the fuck is she doing in here? Because I do look a little different than the rest of the crowd. And so but the next day was, the second day of June's ACIP, and I just walked in and I just sat down right next to him. And he looked over at me, and he kept looking me up and down, and he was like, hey, how's it going? And I was like, hey, how's it going? And I was looking through the paperwork trying to find something that they were talking about, and he looked at me and he said, I don't think they gave us that pamphlet. And I was like, oh, okay, thanks. Well, then he's sitting there watching baseball on his phone, and the volume somehow kicks on, and it's yelling the baseball show across the room, and he's like, oh, shit, trying to turn it off. And so I'm cracking up laughing. And so, and so you could tell he was, like, uncomfortable, but not uncomfortable enough because he kept on, when he would turn to listen to people commenting, he was literally, like, leaning on me. And so I was like, okay. And then he got up to leave, and it was like the break time, the first break, and he felt the need to come over to me and say why he was leaving. So I found that odd too. And and then he was like, well, where do you live? And I was like, why do you want to know where I live? And so then when I got home from ACIP,
coming over for some coffee later?
Yeah, right? And so then when I got home from ACIP, the email started. So I was like, okay. And so there was an open communication line. So I was like, okay, this is odd. But he told me he respected that I was cordial to him, that I wasn't rude to him, that, a lot of the parents who saw him were treating him like shit, and that I didn't do that, and he respected that. And so, I was like, okay, cool, whatever. So, we didn't really say much after that. And then after this ACIP, it's been a lot of emails. And so it's like, okay, but there's an open line of communication. I see articles. People tag me in articles about Offit. I go question Offit about the articles. I've talked to him about the China thing, the vaccines going to China being pulled from Africa. I've talked to him about the rotavirus thing, the deaths in France. I've talked to him about a lot of shit.
Right.
Because I don't do it condescendingly or rudely. I just ask questions. I just wish that more people could have that kind of open line. And so people keep saying, well, why won't you debate the people with initials by their name? And that is what he told me. I'm not going to talk to somebody who's calling me evil, who's making fun of me, who's making memes about me, who's making jokes about me. He said, would you? And I said, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'd probably be pretty uncomfortable with it. It'd probably suck. So, I honestly told him I commended him for even being willing to go to lunch that day. I can't imagine me going to lunch with 30 people on their side and how I would feel and what that would be like.
I commended him too. It was definitely something. Everyone was really respectful though, and then
he felt like he was sandbagged. Is what he said. He said he felt like he was sandbagged afterwards because his name was brought up on the mic too many times for him to have tried to open the line of communication. So that upset him a little bit. And I guess I could see it in one way, but
yeah,
I get it. And I named him in mine too. Yeah. Y'all saw my comment. I said something about him too. Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying, though. That's the thing, though. That's why I used the Grinch analogy. You know what I'm saying? He tried to tear down the whole town. He was not a good guy, but God has taken down harder hearts than this. I know that. So that's where I'm at. Maybe it's not possible. I just haven't given up yet. I may get there one day, and maybe all y'all will be shocked when I make it there. But now for Pan, that's what I say. I think Pan's a effing robot, okay? Pan's a robot.
Yeah, no, he's hopeless. He's hopeless.
I have zero hope for Pan or Dorit. Like, someone was saying that about me, like, who's next for her to interview Dorit? Number one, Dorit is nobody, okay? Dorit is nobody but an internet troll. That is all Dorit is. I have no time for that. You know what I'm saying, though?
I can't. Yeah, no. Just no, I blocked her.
There wasn't even no needle on that syringe, Erin. There wasn't even a needle on that syringe, Erin.
No, there wasn't. She's something.
She did the same thing last year with the flu shot with her kids.
Yeah.
If they were her kids.
I don't know. It's humorous, if anything. It's just humorous. It's just like, I actually am embarrassed for her. Just stop. Just stop. Some people you just can't help.
I know. It's really sad. I've spent a lot of time, and I think too, when you're a newbie in the movement, everybody feels like they have to go back and forth with these people because, it's almost like your initiation into the movement is to have one of them come back at you. And that was something that's always cracked me up because you could tell who the newbies are in the movement because they'll be like, ooh, me and Dorit just got into it. And I'm like, that's so 6 years ago. It's like, come on, guys. She's nobody. Quit giving her time. I think that's the only reason she even has anything the only reason these people have anything going is because of us. Like Z-Dog.
Yeah.
Stop watching his videos, everybody. We're the ones giving him all the play.
Yeah. Yeah, he's another one. He's targeting my license personally. I'm like, good for you guys. Like, good luck with that.
Somebody needs to do that to him.
It's not legal to have an opinion, you know. So
take his video making fun of autistic children.
It's been done, but I mean, I guess it's freedom of speech, you know. I mean, but just, there's a fine line there, you know. Like, you can't use your freedom of speech on making fun of children that are autistic, you know, and it's just, you know, it's just tact, you know, and that's what we do have in our movement. I think a lot of us are very tactful, and you know, we are just here not for the popularity contest, but to just be able to just help people, you know, and that's ultimately, I mean, our goal. Nothing more. If
I was in this for a popularity contest, I wouldn't have asked Paul Offit onto my radio show. You know, and that's something I told Paul. I was like, I'm probably going to be thrown under the bus by my own people for this, but it's a chance I'm willing to take. I'm not in this because I want to be popular. I'm in this because I want to make a difference. I mean, straight up. And he told me, he said, I respect the parents who actually are out here and their hearts are in this because they really do feel like this is what happened. He said, but I don't respect the people who are out here and they're just mean and they're just yelling mean things and they're just treating me like I am the devil. He said, I don't appreciate that because I'm not going to listen to that. And, I mean, I get that. I mean, you know what I mean? People call me baby killer. People who call me baby killer, death threat me, things like that. I don't want to hear their crap either. So, I mean, you know, we have to think about that. Approach somebody the way you want to be approached and you'll get a lot further.
Yeah, I do. But the thing is that, I mean, he says that, but then what is he doing? You know.
Yeah, I'm watching it. I'm reading it. I'm seeing it.
Yeah.
I call him on his crap now, though, so I think that's the fun part, because when he puts out these articles and he says some stuff, I'll go and I'll call him. I'll be like, I just read this article and I saw this, this, and this, and he'll be like, and he'll explain some stuff, though. So, I mean, it is interesting to see when you do try to talk to somebody. I mean, yes, how they see things, and really how differently you see things, and if you can show them your view or not. You know, and that's what I told them. I'm willing to read the science from both sides. I'm willing to read anything that you're willing to send me as long as you'll read whatever I'm willing to send you. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, there's got to be that mutual respect there, and as long as you can have that, you maybe stand a chance. I've had so many people acting like he's going to change my mind, and it's like, look, hello, 2 little injured girls right here that I'm fighting for every single day of my life with every penny I've got, every breath in me. I've had 2 heart attacks, a mini stroke. My health is crap, and I'm out here doing this. So, you know, I mean, people just really need to understand, you know, my motives are, you know, if I walked away from this tomorrow, I don't know that it would affect anybody other than I hope that, you know, it'd be a little, you know, people would at least hopefully, you know, miss me a little bit just because I'm a goofball. But I mean, I really do try out here to make a difference, and I, you know, I love our people, and I mean that genuinely. It's not fake for me. Like my daughter said, I don't know how you find time to talk to everybody. How do you find time to message everybody back? How do you find time to do all this? It's like because I love them, because I care about them, because you know, I mean that's just the truth of it. I mean, and when somebody's having a downtime, call me. I mean, I get there myself. I'm there right now. My life is insane. You know, but I mean, we all have to keep each other lifted up to in order to get somewhere. You know, I mean, what is it, Aaron and you know, lifting up Moses' arms when his arms get tired, man. You know, I mean, we've all got to be out here helping each other. So, I don't know. That's just my personal opinion on it, I guess. But so tell me about your military career, Miss Fang. What in the world made you want to join the military?
Oh, I don't know. You know, growing up, so my parents went through a pretty rough divorce. So I was pretty independent, and it was more or less like, all right, I'm gonna go to college and get in all this debt, or I can just, you know, go into the military, serve my country, and have my college paid for. So it was a little bit of me just being kind of like, I've always been, I don't know, the risk taker, the adventurer, you know, and I'm like, I want a really cool job. So I found myself in the special operations command, and I focused most of my time in public health. So I guess being overseas, we worked to facilitate like the rebuilding, and then of like hospitals and schools and orphanages and like facilitating, like teaching doctors and nurses and like the proper, I say proper now, like Western medicine, which I know I'm like, oh, maybe they would have been better off just with their own natural remedies. But
we're sorry, okay?
Rewarding. Yeah, I really regret that. I didn't have a choice. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know yet. So, but we did a lot of good things for people. I met a lot of good friends throughout my military career. I worked at SACPOM out of Neftila Air Force Base here in Tampa. So a lot of cool stuff. I worked in the anti-terrorism department up here or down here. So.
Oh wow.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that people don't know about our government, and not everything can be trusted. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
So, and that includes,
I see this top secret clearance.
I'll leave it at that. But I mean, it is the truth. I mean, like, not everything can be trusted, and not everything is as it seems. So that's why I just want. All I ask is that people just research. Just look into it. It can't hurt you, because what you're finding is not gonna. Yeah, just pay attention. I mean, especially when your family's lives are, you're putting trust into hands that you don't really know, and it's this blind trust that we have to get away from, because it's very dangerous, and they don't have everybody's best interests at hand. There's a lot of profit that is made off of sick people. So you get these sick people healthy, and the money goes away. And that's pretty much what our entire, industry surrounds is that. And that goes for the military too. I mean, like, I've been putting out a few posts that I thought I would probably have had my Facebook shut down already, but I didn't. But just like all the experiments on the military and that, and I mean, it's real stuff. It's pretty heavy, and it's pretty scary, but I mean, just to bring it to light and have people understand it and look at it, just, I don't know, just be aware of it, if anything, so I think it's just one of those. It's important, It's important for people just to just know, And there's nothing wrong with that, and there's nothing that is gonna, hurt you to just know and be knowledgeable, and
pay attention.
Pay attention.
That's the thing too. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing too. Is, I mean, if your gut's telling you something's wrong, it probably is, and that's something I wish I had listened to my entire life after having my children, because there were so many times, so many times that stomach in you's going, there's something not right about this, and I think the worst part for most parents, and I want them to understand this, you have to forgive yourself for this. The worst part for me afterwards was understanding that I held my children down and helped them do this, and that is the part that really griped me afterwards, and it took me a long time to heal from that and realize that, you know what, Lynette, you know better, you do better. It's not your fault. You didn't know, and you're going to have to do something about it now instead of crying about it. And that is really when my gear shifted and I understood, as sad as this is and as much as it sucks, sitting here being upset about it doesn't do anything for me unless I do something. So, and that's something, I really want people to understand is, we need everybody. We need all of you. We need everybody involved in this. Whether you think you're important or not, you're freaking important. We need your help. Don't be shy. Don't be scared. Don't worry about what people are going to think about you if you post something about this, because you know what? Let us know. If you're scared to make a post about vaccines for the first time on your page, come get the rest of your tribe and say, hey, back me up. I'm about to post this. And we will flood your page with support so that the people see that you have that support and that you're not just making this up. You're not crazy. You have support. I think that makes the biggest difference when all of a sudden 300 people are like, yes, you're correct, instead of like 2 people and crickets chirping. So, you know, I mean, support each other. Go to each other's pages. Show love. Show support. If you see somebody new in this, give them support. Help them understand things. Tell them where to look for the information. Because, I mean, they really do get lost in it. It's hard to understand.
Right.
It really is. I mean, it is. It's hard to understand what's going on. And, you know, and people say, do your own research. Do your own research. It's hard to know where to start with that. It's hard to understand, you know, okay, well, do my own research. What the hell does that mean? You know what I mean? Like, you know, if you see newbies out there looking, just help each other. I mean, this is a crazy thing.
It really is.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
It's very
crazy
overwhelming.
Thing
but there's just start somewhere. I always tell people just to start with the inserts because it's right there.
Man, they're so telltale. It's not even funny.
Yeah, I mean, that's all I mean, it's the insert. It shows the studies. It shows all the side effects, the adverse events. I mean, everything. So
it's just going to be a fever and some redness. That's such a bullcrap thing.
Yeah.
Walmart pharmacy is not allowed to give you a insert. When I asked them for inserts, they told me, the Walmart pharmacy, I asked them for inserts for the flu shot and the shingle shot, and they told me, we're not allowed to give you the insert. We're only allowed to give you the printout. And I said, that doesn't make any sense. I said, so I asked for the printout. They gave me the printout. Yeah, so I turned to the page 2 of the printout where it says, see the package insert for full side effects, ingredients, all this, and I showed the lady, and I said, your paper you just gave me says I need to see the insert to understand the full precautions, but you say I'm not allowed to have the insert. And so, you know, then we get into about whether latex is in it or not, because that was the whole excuse I was using of why I wanted to know. I was like, I'm allergic to latex, which I really am, and I was like, I just want to know if this vaccine has anything to do with that or if it has any of that in it. And she told me no. So then I was like, well, let me see the insert anyway. I just want to know. And then the second page of the printout said latex was in it. And I was like, you would have just gave me latex, lady. Like, you don't even know what's in the shot you're giving every day. And she was just looking at me like, what? I mean, they really don't. It's really crazy.
That's really everywhere. Yeah. I remember asking my pediatrician what that, okay, it's the sugar bug. It's a telltale sign of the MTHFR gene mutation. It's a little blue vein right on the bridge of their nose. And she told me that's normal and it'll go away. And we did vaccines that day. And that's one that actually gives me the chills because, like, I knew it. I knew something wasn't right, and I didn't follow my gut. I didn't research. And I just followed blindly, you know, and, you know, all that could have been avoided. You know, and like I didn't even know what that gene mutation was. I had no clue. I've never heard of it in nursing school. No one ever said anything. And I had to find this all out the hard way. And like, if one person's listening right now, I mean, look at that. I actually just dropped a post on it. It has pictures of all the little telltale signs that you cannot detox, you know, use heavy metals and toxic substances. And that goes for, like, anything. I mean, GMOs, like, just, you know, just chemicals all everywhere. So it's just, there's just a lot. But, you know, like you said, when we know better, we do better. And here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Yep. And I think that's so important. You know, we all just remember also when you see these posts by parents who aren't awake yet, don't jump on them. Don't treat them like crap. I saw, you know, I've seen this several times in the movement where a parent will say something like, back to school, just got the shots, blah, 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 blah. And some of our people will jump on these people and just ream them. And I'm like, look, this person doesn't even understand that this is a problem yet. Like, you need to be in there spreading education, not telling them what a loser they are. And, I mean, it's so sad for me to see this stuff. We all really do need to think about that. And like I say this every show, freaking remember, we all represent each other. Don't act like a fool.
You're right.
I mean, I mean, you know, I mean, and I see people going back and forth in their live feeds, and it's like, come on, guys, don't let them rile you up. Don't let them get you doing that. You're doing exactly what they want you to do. Now we look crazy. Don't do that.
Yeah. Well, you know, and I made those posts back in the day. Like, all right, we're here for our well child check. You know, like I was one of those people posting like that. So like I've been there, and like I mean, we're X-factors for a reason. Like we learned the hard way, and if someone would have attacked me like that, I would turn off completely, and I'd be like, man, you're crazy. So we cannot. We're not crazy. We're passionate, but we have to turn that passion into, you know, just
constructive
kindness
passion.
And education. That's it. Like that's it. You know, like, hey mama, like let me tell you something, all right? Why don't you just read this article? And
I love approaching people in person and just saying something like, oh, how old is your baby? Oh, yeah, mine is however old, and just start talking. And usually during the conversation, my daughter Jasmine, when we're in public, she has a hard time with light. She has a hard time with sound. She has a hard time with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And so, you know, a lot of times she'll be doing a lot of the, like, her whole body will lock up and she'll hold her breath and she'll just be shaking and things like that. So people will be staring anyway. And so I use that. No, it's all right. Let them look, girl. I use it as an opportunity to tell them what happened to her, because you know what? If you're going to sit here and stare at her, then I'm going to talk to you because you're being rude. So we might as well strike up a conversation. But I mean, a lot of people are like, oh my goodness, I didn't even know that was possible, and oh my goodness, and you know, the more you tell them, I mean, people are receptive. They want to know. They don't know they want to know because they have no idea it's happening. So when you start talking about it, you trigger thoughts in their mind. That's the crazy part, because a lot of them have seen this, they just don't know they have yet. So when you say certain things that have happened to your family or your kids or whatever, they're like, oh, man, wait, that happened to my cousin's kid. Or I just saw that happen to so-and-so's kid. And, I mean, you know, you know, a lot of times it's like, I've had that happen many times. They're like, oh, wow, that makes perfect sense. I was just talking to somebody about this the other day. And, you know, so, I don't know, get out there and do your activism.
They're connecting the dots. Yeah.
Yep, I used to have my car coded in activism stuff until my ex experience. They took it all off. But anyway, on a happier note, you know, don't be afraid to do that either. Like, put your stickers on there. I'd stop people when I would be on the highway taking pictures of the stuff on my car. People writing stuff down. You know, so put your stuff on your vehicles too. Don't be afraid to stand out. I was sad that in my town, and I know many awake people, I was still the only car I ever saw with activism on it like that. And it was like, you know what? Don't be afraid to do that. I wish there was tons of cars in my town with this kind of stuff. Put the autism tags on your cars, folks. Just think about it if you're sitting at a red light and tons of tags around you are autism tags. I say that all the time. Put them on your cars. Let people see us in numbers. Let them know we're out here.
Right.
I mean, it's a small thing, but it's a big thing at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. And plus, the police don't pull you over half as much when your car's covered and stuff like that because they think you're crazy. I'll be going 20 over the speed limit, and they're like, nope.
You're going to have to, like, check your car for, like, you know, bumps or whatever, booby traps. I mean, the people are pretty ruthless when it comes to that, though. But
nobody ever touched my car one time, girl.
Oh, that's
my car was coded.
Right.
Coded. The windows had huge stickers on it that said, the greatest lie ever told that vaccines are safe and effective. I mean, in letters as big as your hand. And, I mean, stickers, the whole back was covered. It had stuff about fluoride, stuff about everything. I mean, my whole car was covered, front bumper, sides, everything. It's a Suburban, girl. Nobody ever touched it. Nobody ever messed with it. I had people leaving things on my windshield telling me, like, phone numbers, asking me for more information or things like that. But I never had anybody do anything rude. So, I mean, I advise it. I think it's actually just one more way to open up the communication for people to not feel afraid to ask questions and to know there's somebody out there who might have some answers.
Yeah. Why do you think it is so scary for anyone to speak out? Like, why?
Well, I think at first they're afraid of CPS. Honestly.
Okay.
I think at first, because even I have a lot of people who tell me they won't do my show because they're afraid CPS will show up at their door the next day. So, I mean, I think that's a big worry. People are afraid because of that. They're afraid if they say anything even remotely against that they're going to show up. And so that's a big one. Also, I think because your family. A lot of people have lost family over it. A lot of people have lost a lot of people that they thought were friends for life over it. I know I have.
Yeah.
You know, things of that nature. So I think it's really the fear of what you're going to lose. But here's what I'll say the trade-off is. The family that I've gained by being a part of this movement, the family that I've gained surpasses any friends that I've ever lost. And I don't mean that in a rude way. I'm just telling the truth. No. You know what I'm saying? When you understand the same pain on the level, when you felt the same thing on the same level, and we all know that we're in this together, I can't tell you how many nights I've been wide awake to half these parents are up all night same as me because their kids won't sleep. Like, what's going on, girl? You up too? Yep. All right. What's up? Because you need that. You need to support each other. You need that there when you can't sleep. You need that support there when you're losing your mind at the wee hours of the night, and you know your kid's sitting here spinning, going crazy, and there's no sign of sleep in sight 3 days in a row or whatever the case may be, or you know you're having a hard day, you're in the hospital, your kid's having major seizures or whatever. You know, I see all kinds of stuff happening. You know, we all need each other, and I think that until you start speaking up and you start sharing it and you start being more of a part of it, you're not going to have as much support from the people around you because they don't know you're out there. So I would say for myself personally, I find that the more I give of myself, the more fulfilled I feel, because the more you help others, I feel like the more you're actually helping and therapizing yourself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I cannot agree more with you. And for anyone listening, I am absolutely here for anybody that wants to speak out, and I will back you up 110%. I know Lynette will. I mean, it is a family, and it's awesome, and I love it. And yeah, I've lost some family members along the way. I've lost some friends along the way, but at least they're listening. You know. Yeah.
So you are the founder for. Yeah. So I want to talk about this real quick. We got about 10 minutes left, so I just want to touch on this. Yeah. So you're the founder of the Nurses for Vaccine Safety Alliance Incorporated. So tell me a little bit about what you guys do.
Okay. Well, it's not quite live yet. We're just ironing out a few things before we can get it going. But it's just going to align all nurses all across the United States, and we're just going to represent like our health, care population and safety. A lot of nurses are, very much against vaccines, and it's just a platform for us to be able to speak out. We're going to raise money, so it's a nonprofit. We'll raise money for vaccine injury, for medical kidnapping, and we're going to be putting up billboards all over. So it's kind of collaborating with all the, informed consent groups and other nonprofits, around the United States. So we're just
awesome.
We're just getting
raise your fist, take off the mask.
Well, yeah, and that's another thing that we're gonna fight that. I think it's wrong. It goes against everything that we stand for. You can't bully in healthcare, and I don't think that these hospitals have a lack of nurses. They have a lack of nurses that want to work for them. There's
I couldn't believe how the hospital told me that when I was explaining to them Lily's injury and how they gave her 6 vaccinations, 2 which were triples, after I expressed concerns because we were there because she was sick with thrush. Like, that was what blew my mind, and I mentioned that in my comment too. Like, they tell you, oh, it's okay, we do this all the time, there's no complications, and everything. Even if you believe in vaccines, you know that they used to always tell you, you don't vaccinate when your child's been sick, you don't vaccinate when your child's have a fever. And I looked up thrush beforehand, because I thought she had milk stuck in her mouth. So I looked it up to see what it was, and I was like, oh, this is thrush, okay, and because it wouldn't go away. And so here I am with a child whose thrush wouldn't go away. So obviously her immune system was having an issue. And then they give her the 6 vaccines, and she ended up with something. I know you'll know what it is. You're a nurse, but she ended up with autoimmune neutropenia.
Oh, my goodness.
First they thought she had cancer, and they put us through bone marrow aspiration, biopsies, oncology, hematology, everybody coming in, 7 weeks in the hospital, and they finally come back and say, well, it's autoimmune neutropenia. We think what happened is because she was sick and her system was already down, and her body was fighting that, when they gave her all the vaccines, it threw her system in overdrive. It didn't know what to do anymore, so it started attacking itself. And so this is what her hematologist told us. And then this is at an elevator now. This is when we saw her at the elevator. Then when she comes in the room with all her colleagues, she refused to admit she had said that and said there's no way vaccines could have done this. And I kind of lost it at that point. And the nurse started laughing because I was like, you know what, y'all are really pissing me off. I was like, y'all come in here 15 deep, no shoe covers, no face mask. Well, I'm suited up to be in here with my child. It's like, y'all better, this ain't no learning room no more. Y'all need to get the hell out. Like, I was just pissed, and the nurse was like, damn. She's my friend on Facebook to this day. She was like, I ain't never seen no mama do that before. Now, of course, they sent us home the next day, but I'd had enough, though. I mean, they pick lined her with no anesthesia. They went an inch into her heart too far. Come in there, oh my God, we did an X-ray. It's too far into her heart. We got to pull it back out. And I'm like, what do you mean it's in her heart? What is going on? Like, I mean, they were just so unprofessional, and it was like they kept hurting her. They kept doing things. Oh, now her red count's low because we've taken too much blood. Well, back the hell off. You know, it's like, oh.
Well, it's all cha-ching, 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 and it all happened from her getting those vaccines.
Oh, yeah.
All of it.
We asked them.
All of it.
They tested her for over 100 different diseases, all kinds of stuff, and they kept coming back negative before they finally did the bone marrow thing. But what was crazy about it was her dad is a maintenance welder, and he does anodizing. He does all kinds of stuff with metal, acids, all kinds of stuff. And so I said, y'all might want a heavy metal tester. I don't know if this has anything to do with it or not, but her dad comes home from work and he holds her and whatever. And I had no idea heavy metals were in vaccines at this point. And I already had it up on the board, like if immunizations didn't cause this, what did? Because I had no idea that what was in them. I didn't know they were bad. I just knew she had them, and this is what happened. And so then I was like, well, what about her dad? Maybe that's the case, because we were even looking for cat scratch fever, and we were trying to find what the hell could have done this to her. And so, we were testing anything and everything. And so they would not test her for heavy metals. We requested at least 5 times, and every single time they told us no, and that couldn't be what it is. And so it was very sad later on when I found out what's in vaccines, and I realized that's why. And I also, Erin, you want to know something crazy? When I took her in there and I told them I thought she had a vaccine reaction, before I ever said what was going on, they said, did she stop talking? Did she quit making eye contact? Has she changed any of her behaviors? Is she walking okay? And I was like, yeah, that's not the problem. Let me tell you what happened. And I didn't know what they were asking me. But looking back, of course, now, those people knew that those were the incidents that go with a vaccine injury. That's autism. And it wasn't what happened to her. That's what happened to her sister. But you know what I'm saying? Like, they were asking me those questions. They knew to look for autism when I said I think she had a reaction. And this is the Children's Hospital. That's sad. I mean, this was the Center for Disease Control's, like, people there, the Center for Infectious Disease part of Children's.
You know, it's sad.
So,
it's sad.
So they wouldn't report it. I asked them to report it, and they did not report it. I reported it myself, but I don't know if that does you any good. But they would not report it no matter how many times I asked.
So this is what I would do if I could do it over again. And I think if you would have done this, when you're going to your doctor's appointment, you can ask them, hey, I'm going to be recording this for, so I can reflect on it when I get home, so I don't miss anything. But what you're really doing is recording them, and it's a liability. All right, you did tell me this, and here it is right here. But just let the doctors know that you're recording them ahead of time. And 1, they'll probably watch what they tell you, and 2, then you have it. You could be like, no, you told me this.
That's
it's
true.
Just another.
I wish I had been smart enough to do that, Erin. Yeah, well, because, with Jasmine, she was vaccinated behind my back with Jasmine. That's how she ended up with interception the second time. I took Lily in for a CBC, and, of course, Jasmine's with me. I mean, who's going to have my baby? I do. She was 4 months old, not on the schedule, and the nurses said, well, we'll hold her while you hold Lily to get her CBC, because she'd be more comfortable if you hold her while we're doing her blood work. So I've got my back to the nurses holding Jazz, and I'm sitting there with Lily in my lap, and they get the needle in her hand, and I'm holding her still, and all of a sudden you hear Jazzy just choking and screaming, and I turn around, and they're giving her rotavirus in her mouth, and the other one's putting the needles in her legs, and Lily about flew out of my lap. I got up so quick. I felt bad, but, it was like the instinct. And I said, I told y'all we're not here for that today. I told you she's not getting them. Like, I went off. Ended up with interception a second time from that rotavirus vaccine, and she only had half the dose. Like, they only made it to half the dose when I figured out what was going on. And they would not write down what happened. They said that they were not going to put it on there because they weren't going to charge me for it. And I said, I don't care if you charge me for it. I want down what happened today. And they would not put down that they vaccinated her that day. They put that mom refused vaccinations. So Yes,
Wow.
I called her dad. He come flying up there from work. He went in there. He went off on them asking for proof. They wouldn't do it. They gave him a piece of paper saying I refused, and we never went back to that office again other than to pick up her records.
This is why those recordings are good. I take my kids to a chiropractor for their physicals. That's it. That's the only time they go to the doctor. But I don't know for any other parents. Like I would absolutely record. I would record everything, and I mean let them know ahead of time you're recording it. But
yep. I wish I had done that. The doctor who watched it happen the first time, Dr. Siddiqui, was in the room with her head down writing something, who said Jasmine was never to get that vaccine again because of the intussusception the first time. She said it could kill her.
Nice.
And so imagine me when I see them doing this, when she told me this could kill her if she ever gets this again. I mean, this is the kind of crap we're up against. I mean, this is insane. They didn't even care. I mean, she's in the room. You know, not on the schedule. She wasn't even on the schedule. Yeah. It's insane. Well, you guys can find Erin Marie RN on Facebook. You can find, she is the founder of Nurses for Vaccine Safety Alliance, Inc., getting that up and running. And when there's more to know about that, I will let y'all know. Erin, if you ever have anything you need to share, girl, please just feel free to call, or let me know. Use my platform. I am here. If you need anything else from me, I'm here. Thank you so much for your help with getting more people involved with ACIP. I can't wait to see you again in February.
I know. I can't wait to see you either, and thank you so much for everything that you do, and I'm so happy to know you.
Yes, same here, girl. You keep up the good fight. We're going to win this thing.
Yes, we are. All right, hon.
All right, y'all. Y'all have been listening to... All right, girl. Y'all have been listening to Forsaken Generation. I'm going to have Susie Olsen-Corrigan on the show next week, so you guys look forward to that. The week after that, Jacqueline Gallion, sorry. And so you guys just keep on listening in. We'll be back next week. I love you guys. Have a happy, happy week.